Hello there, hello there, hello there, hello there. Welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show, starring me, your host, Agostino Zinga, coming at you live and direct from an undisclosed location somewhere within the depths of East London. How you doing? How you feeling? Ladies and gentlemen, day dems, and everything else in between. Cool, great. How am I? All good, all things considered. All good, all things considered. I am eagerly counting down the days for when I head to Berlin. Really cannot wait. Really cannot wait. It's a little bit of a birthday weekend. I don't usually do birthday celebrations, I'm not going to lie. But I thought if one year I will do it randomly just for the fun of it, I picked this year to be the one. I'm not really too sure why. I don't really I have this weird thing with celebrating things when you don't really deserve them, you know? I'm kind of a stickler for celebrating things after I've done a bunch of work to kind of justify the celebration. It's sort of like a weird punishment thing, ritual thing that I do. Maybe again, based on my upbringing, maybe who knows? Maybe there's no point of overthinking it, overanalyzing it, but I do tend to do that. But this one in particular, I didn't. I just picked a day. I thought, you know what? I just picked this year as a random year that I celebrate my birthday, because I think the last time I can remember properly celebrating my birthday, the last time I properly did it, with people, I think I might have been 22, maybe 21. Last time I properly celebrated my birthday. I don't do that at all. I think there's something very unbecoming about a man going out of their way to celebrate their birthday anyway. I think men should, pour yourself a drink, buy yourself a nice meal, get yourself a nice jacket, a new pair of white Air Force Ones or something, Treat yourself that way. Maybe go and go to the pub and get a really nice flipping drink for yourself, cocktail bar, a nice whiskey, wine bar, a nice glass of wine. But I think the idea of making your friends come out to celebrate your birthday as a man over the age of 22, don't do it. Don't be that guy, man. It's not even a thing of being cringe. It's just a very unmanly, It's a very unmanly type of thing. And you know me, I'm very toxic when it comes to those type of things. I believe there are some benefits of toxic masculinity. And I think one of them is maybe spoiling and being overly generous to your partner, girlfriend, whatever, when it comes to their birthday. But when it comes to yours, chill. That's the type of toxic masculinity I believe in. You know what I mean? I believe in flipping, spoiling the missus, giving her whatever she wants. Here's a bag, go run it up. Let's go have a meal somewhere. Don't worry, I'll sort it. I'll pick you up from work. I'll do this, I'll do that. But when it comes to me, nah, allow it. Give me a big hug, kiss me or something, you know what I mean? Maybe massage my feet or something. Give me a flipping Amazon, voucher or something. Give me a Supreme gift card if those things exist, and let me do my thing. But I don't want to be celebrating my birthday as a man, as a grown-up, walking down Liverpool Street Station with a massive fucking badge that says, I'm 24. Who does that, man? Grow up. But I'll be celebrating it in some way when I go to Berlin. But I was also thinking, after this particular trip, or maybe not after this trip. Not after this trip. Maybe after the trip in December. Or is it November? Because I think there's a 21st birthday of Berghain happening soon. I think it might be December or November. Either way, I think I have one more trip left in me, and I'm going to have to switch it up again. Or not switch up again. I'm going to have to switch it up in general. Because I was looking at how much I'm paying for accommodation for this weekend. And God almighty, mate, Berlin ain't the place to be where it was. People say it's the place to be, but it's not the place to be anymore. Because Jesus Christ, I went through my Gmail and I went through some old Airbnb receipts, and legitimately I found cribs that I was staying in Berlin for the weekend in Prenzlauer Berg, Hermannplatz, Neukölln, all these type of places, right? And I found these places where I was staying by myself as a solo person for £150, Friday to Monday. Now, the place that I'm staying in, I think is minimum 300 quid for the weekend. 300 quid for the weekend. And hotels are about the same. It's not even you can get a better deal in a hotel. Hotels are about the same. I think hotels minimum, a good one, is 250 for the weekend. So the prices of accommodation is just off, out of this, through the roof. But the good thing is that the life, day to day cost of living is pretty low. So I can still get a beer in a normal shop for like $2 or €2, which still isn't €1, by the way, but it's €2. I don't even think, actually, last time I went, I think one thing that surprised me was that I don't think there exist €1 beers anymore. I'm pretty sure. People that live in Berlin can probably tell me differently, but I'm pretty sure last time I went, maybe Berlin the Kind or something, or Kind, however you say it, but I think there's not a lot of places that sell €1 beers anymore. They're mostly 150 or €2. So it's still not as cheap as it was in the past, but it's still cheaper than London. So I can still go out, have a good night, and not spend that much money, or not spend as much as I would do in London. But I think in general, I have to find a new location, a new destination to go and have my techno tourism weekends at, because I can't be paying €300 for an accommodation for a weekend. That's just too much. That is way, way too much. So I'm probably going to do Wuppertal open ground very soon. I'm probably going to go back to Amsterdam again and do that very soon. And maybe some other parts in Europe like Belgrade, blah, 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 blah. Just to mix things up a bit, because the prices I'm paying right now, I could probably have paid for a flight and accommodation for the price I'm paying just for the accommodation alone if I went to another location. So I've got to mix things up again. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm also thinking in the back of my head, like, I'm kind of happy I never moved there, because as great as I have a time when I go there, I don't really care about it the way that people care about it, in terms of the mysticism, the always wanting to go out type of thing. Maybe it would have been advantageous to have lived there when we were still in the EU, would have made things a little bit more easy, but I'm glad I didn't. And I think the pace of generally people being outside, I would have most likely got lost in the sauce, I think. So it's a good thing that I kind of stayed where I'm at. And I have a big thing about not living or not being in the place of the thing that I enjoy, if that makes sense. Like, even this part of London that I live in now is nowhere connected to like the hipster cool scene of London. I can kind of dip my toes in if I want to. I can ride my bike over to the clubs. I can ride my bike over to the pubs, ride my bike over to the parks, to wherever people are hanging out. But then I can quickly run away and get back to my, safe space in my crib and shit, and not be surrounded by those people. I just want to be surrounded by regular folks, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know. I don't want to be around people who are wearing power boots and wallabies and turn up their jeans and ride fixed gears. I'd rather go and dabble my toes in it and come back out. So I'm glad I didn't probably do that. But obviously, in the future, I'm definitely planning to kind of go, and live elsewhere apart from London. Especially now, I'm thinking about going, but I'm like, you know what? I need to expand my horizons. So maybe sometime soon, the Manchester move is going to happen. And I'm going to kind of relocate over there, because I think I'll probably get a lot more bang for my buck in terms of accommodation. I think cost of living is also way cheaper when it comes to London. And I also like the family vibes in Manchester, people kind of hang out in groups of friends. They go out together for brunches, for dinners and shit. That's something you don't really see a lot in London. When you go out on the weekend, you see a lot of people solo dining, a lot of people solo walking, or, maybe in duos. But I feel like whenever I went to Manchester or Liverpool, I'd see a lot of people, like groups of people, groups of friends, a whole gaggle of girlfriends, a whole gaggle of fucking family, walking, hanging out together, shit, the whole day, and just people watching and shit, which I kind of love to do myself. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But looking forward to Berlin. Cannot wait this weekend. Obviously, we'll be streaming there as well. So make sure you checking in on the channel, checking in on all my socials to see what I want for that. I don't usually post where I'm at, on the day. I'm not really something that I like to do when I'm on a trip, but I may open the floodgates on the IG as well. So if you want to see what I'm doing, what I'm getting up to, make sure you follow me. All the links are in the description and all that malarkey when it comes to social media, so you can see what I get up to. Apart from that, what else have I been doing? Oh, let's talk about football. So football, let's go over the football stuff quickly. So as you guys know, United beat Lyon 5-4 in the Europa League last week, won on aggregate 7-6, a very back and forward game. If anything, I feel like Lyon played better. We played better than Lyon when it was 11v11. Then as soon as Lyon got one person sent off, they played better. They were really, really in control, I feel like, of that game, which is kind of embarrassing for us. But I do like the spirit and the fight from all the players. I feel like these type of games, when a lot is on the line. I remember reading on social where they said something along the lines of like, this game would cost United $80 million or something, £80 million upwards in terms of earnings. So I'm sure the players were made aware of it. There was also a story that came in that said Ruben Amorim had been shouting and screaming at the players in the changing room, and he'd cancelled some outing with the players, and essentially he read them the riot act and said, hey, if you guys don't win this game, or no, I think the quote was, or loosely attributed to Ruben Amorim, was that there was so much riding on this game that whoever failed would lose, like would be out of a job. That includes a manager. So I feel like in these type of games when these fucking shit cunt players feel like their jobs are on the line, because, you know, they're terrible for the most part. We're not 14th, 15th for no excuse, but or for no reason. I feel like these players enjoy playing for Man United. They love the allure, they love the fucking recognition and the clout that comes from playing for United, and they don't want to lose it. And I think these players also know, the ones that are on high wages, they know that if they leave United, they're not going to get the wages that they got at United. United is a place where people come to, like, you know, cash out essentially. Look at Casemiro. He's not going to get the wages he's getting at United anywhere else in the world, which is why he's willing to kind of stay and run his contract down. So I think a lot of these players, when it's really kind of like, you know, squeaky bum time, they usually pull out a big performance. And I feel like this particular match had less to do with Ruben Amorim's tactics and selection, and multiple of the players just like knuckling down and making sure they got over the line. So really good goals in that performance. I thought flipping Kobe Mino's goal obviously was a standout. I enjoyed Harry Maguire's winner at the end as well. Big slabhead. I always felt like Harry Maguire doesn't score enough headers personally for me. I feel like he's not dangerous enough when it comes to set pieces in general, because he's a really big dude. I think he might be 6'5", 6'4", 220 plus pounds, absolutely ripped, massive head. You can tell even from watching him on TV. He's got a huge dome, loves to get his head on the end of things defensively, but I feel like offensively he doesn't score enough headers. So it's good to see him get the winner. Happy about that. And also the tactic of like playing him up front towards the end was also kind of paying dividends. So glad to see that. So United went through to the semi-finals of the Europa League. There's a lot riding on this season on that Europa League finish. I'm personally of the thinking that United can't rescue their season with a Europa League finish. That's my personal theory. I believe this season has been so bad, from the manager to the players to the owners. Everyone is graded a big fat F, that you can't save this season with a trophy. I don't believe that. I'm not one of those United fans that think if we win a trophy, everything gets forgotten is okay. It doesn't matter if we win the Europa League 10-0 in the finals. It doesn't erase how much of a failure this season was. It starts from Ineos taking over the sporting side of the team. From Ineos taking over the sporting side of the club, to giving fucking Erik ten Hag an extended contract, a contract renewal, which should never have happened. He should have got fired or sent away after the FA Cup final against Man City. We should have gave him a handshake and said, thank you so much, and fuck off. We didn't do that. We paid the price. We gave him more transfer funds. He bought more shit players who we're now stuck with for basically forever. And then we sack him, a quarter way into the season. We hire Ruben Amorim to, I think, save the season, right? I don't think you pay 9 million euros to get a manager out of his contract at Sporting Lisbon to sign for United, not knowing or not thinking that you're going to save the season. We sign him, a manager, get him out of his contract halfway through the season, and then we don't buy him players that he needs to play the system that he needs to play. He then fails because he doesn't have the players, and maybe he's getting adjusted to the league, and maybe he's a little bit underwhelming, or maybe not the level that we thought he was. Who knows? And now there's fans out here who want the manager gone, who want us to start the whole process all over again. So in my personal opinion, it's been a big fat F. So I don't care what happens in Europa League. I don't give a fuck what happens in Europa League. I don't care if we win the final 10-0, 20-0. This season's been a failure, and they need to really go back to the drawing board and fix a lot of things when it comes to signing players, when it comes to getting rid of players, which I think is way more important than signing them. I think the likes of, like, if we see Luke Shaw contract get terminated, I think I'm going to be way more optimistic for the season. I was already nervous and dubious when Harry Maguire got given a contract extension a few months back, right? I didn't like that at all. I didn't like that. I think we need to move on from that whole era. But whatever, you want him as cover, cool, experience, whatever it may be. But if Luke Shaw still stays at this club next season, and the likes of Mason Mount, I think that's going to make me really nervous for the next season. And it's all but guarantees that Ruben Amorim gets fired or walks next season too. So Europa League, great performance. Happy that we're in the semi-finals. One step closer to the final. One step closer to maybe winning a trophy. But that is not going to save the season. It does not save the season. It does not eradicate the losses. I think 15 losses, the record amount of losses United in the season ever. It doesn't raise it. It doesn't make that okay. And no amount of trophies will ever do so. And if you are thinking that, then you're delusional. That's just my personal opinion. But what do I know? Then continuing on, recently against Wolves on Sunday, we followed up a really decent performance in Europa League with an abject performance against Wolves at home. Personally, I kind of feel this is kind of on the manager. I'm not going to lie. I kind of feel this performance on the manager because I quite like the lineup before. When we started the game, I like the lineup. I like the inclusion of Fredriksson and Harry Amas in the back. I thought they did a great job, especially Fredriksson. I think he really performed out of his skin. Essentially, he kind of helped Lindelof look a lot better than what he does because he came and was sweeping in, coming into the middle and kind of picking up or covering Lindelof whenever he'd leave gaps and shit. I thought the midfield of Eriksen and Ugarte worked pretty decently. And in general, there was a decent balance of the team. Garnacho was doing his greedy shit that he always does. Højlund didn't really do much in general, or for me personally. But I thought we did okay. But the moment Ruben Amorim decided to make the subs and play the senior players, like the likes of Bruno Fernandes and co, suddenly we lost the game. So I feel like this game could have been saved. We could have come away with 1 point, a draw, if you just would have kept the team the same. I don't think there was any need to sub those players on. I think because he rotated the team to give the senior players a rest. I don't think we needed to play the senior players. We're not going to really move significantly up the table anyway. We're safe from getting relegated. I don't see the need or the point to have made all those changes and then reverse them towards the end to try to win the game. It didn't make any sense personally for me. It is what it is. The only good thing to come out of it was all the fawning over from our players and from our manager on Cunha. It's pretty clear that we're going to sign Cunha. I think there's been stories already leaked about us signing him. He's going to be a great player to us to sign in terms of that one of the number 10s, or maybe to play up front in certain times as well. I'm a little bit nervous about it because I feel like United have a tendency to sign good players and make them look shit. So it wouldn't surprise me if we sign Cunha, who's been pulling up trees and playing fantastically for Wolves consistently for a while. It wouldn't surprise me if we sign him and we make Cunha look like Joe Linton when he first went to Newcastle. It wouldn't surprise me because I feel like United is where good players go to die. So Cunha looks like a good player for Wolves. When it comes to United and he stinks up the place, I won't be surprised. But I'm happy to see that we're going for that type of player who's got a little bit of tenacity, a little bit of aggression, got a bit of a personality, obviously tons of ability, can play in a lot of positions. And I'm eager to see how that goes on throughout the period. And again, it was obvious that we're going to sign him because Ruben Amorim, every time he saw him, was making some sort of comment, touching his head. Some players were talking to him. I don't know. It looked bait. It looked bait that we're going to sign him. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with that. But all in all, a pretty shitty end towards the end of the season. And the Europa League's the only thing that's going to save it. But it still doesn't save it, in my personal opinion. Moving on. Let's talk about Justin Bieber. So Justin Bieber was at Coachella and everyone is like fake concerned that Justin Bieber is looking really cracked out, really fucked up. And I have to be honest, I find it very interesting that people aren't as concerned about Justin Bieber as they are about Kodak Blakk. I find these mannerisms to be very similar to Kodak Black's mannerisms, which is odd because whenever I see Justin Bieber, I see him smoking weed, you know? Whenever I see him smoking weed. So I'm wondering, is Justin Bieber's weed laced with something? Is he doing drugs before he's doing the weed? Because when it comes to Kodak, you can tell with Kodak Blakk that he's off that shit. His jaw is swinging. He's twitchy as fuck. He's moving like a nitty. But with Justin Bieber, you can't because he's always smoking. So I wonder if the smoking is a cover for the actual aggressive drug use that he's doing. But I'm just going to say that I don't care. And I think you don't care either. So I don't like this faux concern. I'm not going to lie. This faux concern, this moral grandstanding, right? This fake sympathy that people have nowadays for celebrities are hoping they're okay. It's like, no, I don't really give a fuck. If anything, I want him to get in a booth. If anything, I want him to get in a booth right now because he's going through probably a pretty dark time, a pretty tough time. But you know, more than likely, during these tough moments, artists usually make their best music. So I would love to see him get in the booth ASAP. Because I'm sure if he did, or if he is, he's going to make the best music he's ever made. And I also think, personally, as being a serial enjoyer of getting on it and going a bit crazy, I don't really like this idea that, you know, when you're somebody that has money, that you just can't enjoy yourself. Like, why can't you have a phase where you get a bit cracked out, where you party a bit too much, where you do things to excess? If you're Justin Bieber and you worked as hard as he has had to have got the career that you've got, you have to put up with annoying paparazzi, annoying stans, annoying fans, industry people, fake friends, all this malarkey. Surely you're owed. Surely you deserve the odd you know, crack pipe session, the odd bit of meth, the odd line, the odd peel, the odd dab of MDMA, the odd bit of like, surely you're allowed to dabble in that sort of shit. Because you're probably fucked out. You probably sexed out. Right? You've done all the sex you can do. Boys and girls and they and them's in between. You're bored of it now. You've got a wifey. You've got a kid. Like, surely and you're only young once. Surely just enjoying yourself and letting your hair down isn't that big of a crime. And if it is, so fucking what? So fucking what if it is a crime? So what if it does end in a very tragic, fatal way? Everybody's looked after. Your discography is gonna look after generations to come when it comes to their wealth, when it comes to the wealth that you've amassed over the years. Is it really that big of a deal? Like, I really don't think so. And, you know, rich people's high experience is not the same as you and I. I watched the other day on the Random Show a clip of Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura talking about IVs. And Bert Kreischer admitting, you know, by mistake that he does IVs every other day. IVs are hydration. You know, you get all these essential vitamins and whatever else it may be, and hydration that allows you to recover from partying and from getting on it quicker than regular people like you and I. If that's the case, then his high is not the same. He's going to be able to recover. He might get access to better things. If you believe the court documents, you know, against Diddy, you would have heard that allegedly Young Miami was boarding private jets with 2C and coke and shit stuffed in their panties, delivering it, you know, to the front door of Diddy and shit. These guys are getting different grade of stuff. They're getting stuff that's uncut, stuff that doesn't have any fent in it, stuff that's pure, stuff that's coming straight from the lab. Like, why not enjoy yourself if you're JB? Why not enjoy yourself if you're JB? I say let him enjoy himself, let him get crunked, let him get on it, let him get crazy. If it doesn't work out well, oh well, at least he lived a flipping life. And some of us, some of you out there are probably doing way worse than what he's doing. Are probably doing way worse than what he's doing. But again, what do I know? Absolutely nothing. We also have to talk about this post that I saw on Twitter that made me shake with rage. It made me shake with rage. It's courtesy of a Twitter account called Hamptonism, right, on Twitter. It said the following. The caption says, "Wake up." And there's a meme that on one side has a person sitting on a ledge with underneath it says idea. In between the gap and the other ledge, it says being cool. And on the edge, on the ledge on the other end, it says results. On the second picture on this meme, it has the ledge where it says idea. Then in the middle, it says being corny or being cringe, sorry. And at the end, it says results, and the pot is now gold. So essentially, this meme is trying to say, in order for you to receive or achieve your results, to achieve your dreams, your aspirations in life, one of the things you have to do is accept being corny, is accept being cringe. That's on the other side of success. You have an idea, but the other side of success, in order to get there, you have to be cringe. If you're cool, if you think making effort is GAY, as Shane Gillis thinks, if you think it's cringe to post links or to post yourself or promote yourself or whatever it may be, you're not going to get to your results. Which I agree with. I think that's true. I think there is a lot of truth to the fact that, you know, think of your own circle of friends. The cringiest, corniest person you know is probably quite successful, or at least seemingly quite happy. You know, they don't have the capacity to be depressed or to be down in the dumps because their mind just doesn't work that way. But those of us who maybe think a little bit more, who are maybe a lot more introspective, a lot more self-critical, a lot more harder on ourselves, who have a bit more of an ego, have more pride, we see this and people like myself, my skin crawls. I get goosebumps. I shiver. I legitimately shake my skin because I'm like, no part of my body, no part of my soul, no part of my psyche would ever allow me to be cringe on purpose. I can be cringe without knowing I'm being cringe. That's possible, right? I'm not perfect. Everybody knows this. But I don't think I could go out of my way to be cringe on purpose just so I can achieve my results. I'd rather not achieve them. And the reason why I say that, and the reason why I agree with this meme is this. I saw this post courtesy of Patrick Mason. Now, I'm a big fan of Patrick Mason. You know how much I love the DJ Patrick Mason, right? You guys know how much I love the DJ Patrick Mason. You guys know that, right? You know Patrick Mason's my guy. So I don't say this to flipping begrudge anybody in the slightest, right? But let me get this post up again because I don't feel the comments are loading. I saw this, and this perfectly encapsulates this meme that says, in order for you to get the results that you want in life, you have to embrace being cringe. You have to embrace it. Being too cool, acting aloof, how the things that I kind of do, being my own person, being somewhat mysterious and whatever it may be, that doesn't really get you anywhere. Actually getting yourself somewhere is embracing the cringe. And this post, courtesy of Patrick Mason, the DJ, is the biggest, best example you can find of embracing the cringe to some level of success. Because I saw this, and as much as I like Patrick Mason, as much as I love that guy, I love what he does in terms of his DJing. I love what he does in terms of his personality and his artistry and how he presents himself behind the booth and on the stage. And the fact that he's a quote unquote black man who's presenting himself the way that he does is really important, right? Really fucking important. But I saw this post and I can't lie, bro. I legitimately vomited in my own mouth. I had to suppress the vomit from escaping my mouth when I saw this post. So the caption says as follows. Appreciation post part 1. Today, I want to dedicate this post to my phenomenal co-workers in the business. Many days on the road can seem very dark and lonely, but knowing I will share the stage with you guys is always an instant heartthrob. You make this fun ride so much more enjoyable. I learn so much from you, and even if we only share mere stamps in this picture book of life, all of you will forever remain. Here's to many more together. P.S. Videographers and photographers, please reach out to me for proper credit. And it's a slideshow image of him with various DJs that he's played with over the years behind the booth. Most of them are women, right? Or most of them are cool people. And it's like, bruh, if this is what making it is about, if this is how you make it, I don't want to make it. If you have to make it and do this sort of shit, if you have to make it and do this sort of like glazing, this sort of dick sucking, this sort of pussy licking, this sort of ass licking to make it, I don't want to make it. I swear, I'm happy to play my Berghain pirate radio studio sets. I'm happy to stream to like 10 people. I'm happy to have my SoundCloud links have like 2 listens. I'm happy with that because at least I get to share the music I love, right? I'm happy with that. I'm happy to fucking share my Berghain posts on here, you know, wank over clubs and shit, talk about Fold for the 19th millionth time. If making it the way these guys are making it involves posting this sort of gay ass shit, and I mean gay in the most derogatory way possible, not against any of my gay homies out there, you know what it is. But if you have to do this gay ass shit to be successful, I don't want to be successful because this is so cringe. This is so fucking cringe. Oh my God, I love you guys so much. And the funny thing about this, like I said, none of these people are like underground. None of these people are like small time. He's not making this post shouting out people that he came up with that may have added to his journey. Maybe early promoters that gave him a chance, which is why he's successful and why he's playing at these stages. He's not talking about shouting out people behind the scenes like A&Rs, like management, like venue managers, like bar staff, like cleaners, like booking agents, like, I don't know, psychiatrists, like parents, like siblings. Not people that are actually responsible for your day-to-day, you know, psyche being okay. Nah, let me shout out all of these cool people that I know in this weird, self-congratulatory, virtue-signally, clout-chasey way. Like, everything in my body is convulsing right when I see his post. I saw this and I thought, fucking hell, Patrick Mason. Now I know why he's successful. Now it makes sense why, despite everybody on social media not liking Patrick Mason and really being annoyed about his theatrics and dancing, which I love personally. I love it. I know he doesn't really like comparisons. I get the feeling he kind of, it makes him like cringe when he gets compared to people. But I like the fact that he's this like DJ Rokkstar, Iggy Pop type of character behind the stage, right? Because like I said previously, like I detest the surgeon, like looking bare glum, staring down at the DJ booth, not looking up once, not smiling, not knowing how to two-step or dance DJs. I personally hate that. Which is one of the reasons why I'm never really the biggest Ben UFO fan. You know, everybody's like criticizing and hating on Ben UFO now because essentially like he's like, you know, pro boiler room, which in some people's eyes means he's pro-Israeli, he's pro-Zionist, he's pro-Benjamin Netanyahu, he's pro-fucking genocide, free Palestine. That's not true. I've never been the biggest fan of Ben UFO because he looks like he can't dance, you know? I'm about DJs that can dance. Like I want to see a DJ have a good time. I want to see a DJ like enjoy himself. It's one of the best jobs you can have in the world. Like at least act like you're enjoying what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like fucking hell, put on a bit of a show. So I like the fact that Patrick Mason exists and does what he does. I love it. I love that he exists. And like I said, as a black man, I think it's super important that he's around, being the way that he is, being unapologetically himself, expressing himself in fashion and in theatrics and dancing and all this malarkey, really kind of like pushing against gender norms and what you deem to be like masculine and da-da-da-da-da-da. But this sort of post is so cringe. It's so disgusting. It's so embarrassing. It's so against everything I stand for. But look where he's playing. Look where he's playing and look who he's with. He's with some of the biggest DJs in the world. Who's this with? I don't know who this person is. Who's that person in the video? That's I Hate Models. So he's dancing around with I Hate Models on the stage, having a fucking blast, twirling his shirt in the air, probably getting paid thousands to play, you know, his genre of music to a adoring group of fucking fans and viewers out there. And here I am ranting into a microphone, into a webcam. So you have to choose who you listen to. You have to decide who you have to kind of listen to, who's chatting shit, who isn't chatting shit. But I have to say, this meme is correct. This meme is right. In order to you to get from your ideas to your results, you have to embrace being cringe. You have to embrace being cringe. You have to be able to dance in the cringe, right? It's like what they say about adversity, right? You have to be able to dance in the rain. You have to be able to embrace the darkness, embrace the struggle, embrace the pain. But in my personal opinion, I would rather not do that. So I'd rather take the long route. I'd rather take the long route. That might mean, I don't know, jumping. That might mean, you know, making a fucking ladder that connects you to one side or the other. But I'm no way in shape or form. I'd rather die. I'd rather get run over by somebody on a fucking electric scooter. I'd rather get a ball smashed into my nuts than make a post like this. Ever in my life. Like never. Like what? I have a hard time pushing or posting my own stuff. Let alone me tagging people that I know who have got fame on my post. Like, what? Like, nah. I'm not doing it, bro. I'm not doing it. I refuse. But my G's famous. My G's successful. My G's playing with all the big people out here. You know what I mean? But I refuse to do it. I'm also wondering, by the way, just as an observation, why are some posts tagged and some posts aren't? Because some of the DJs, he's tagged them, some of them he hasn't. I wonder if he's not tagged some people because they're recognizable. Like this woman, that's the, what's her name again? Elisa Bossonera or something, Bossara, Bura. I forgot her name, but she's got, is it Alyssa? Something, anyway. I kind of recognize this girl as Bob. But I wonder why some DJs are tagged and some are not. I wonder if it's like if it's like, can you act cool? Can you act too cool for school if you dedicate a post to people that you know, don't really know that well for clout? I don't really know if you can do that. Oh, there we go. We got a picture, we got a video. That's the girl. What's her name? What's the girl's name? Estella Boresma. Boresma. So you got the quintessential post of behind the booth. You got the hug. You got the kiss. Like, I don't know. I just wanna vomit. Everything inside of me wants to explode seeing this post. Like, oh my god, if this is what being cringe is about, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, bro. I don't want to do it. I'd rather DJ in my bedroom. I'd rather play outside in the streets like DJ AG. Big up DJ AG and embrace the people. But this is not what I want to do. I don't. I swear to God. I understand that being successful, you have to embrace the cringe. But I can't. I just cannot be cringe. You can't spell Agostino with a C anyway. There is no C in my name. Man can't be cringe. But you can spell Patrick Mason with a C. You get me? You can spell fucking Patrick Mason with a C, can't you? But it's just like, what is this post, bro? Like, what is this? And by the way, this is part 1. There's never been a part 2. I haven't seen the part 2 yet. This is meant to be a part 1, but I've never seen a part 2. Even this is fucking horrendous, by the way, right? Being behind a booth, recording yourself, dancing, took like, I don't know. I'd rather bath in my own mouth, personally. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't even think he played. I think this is Stone Techno Festival. I think this might be Stone Techno Festival. I don't think he played there. I don't think he actually played there. And you're just there supporting people and hanging out, which is, you know, good, but it's also a bit clout chasey because he was all up in the booth, all up in the videos, you know, all up there dancing behind people and shit. It's like, ay, 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 ay. Another post with like people that I know, my famous friends, people that you know. Oh no, there's Chippy nonstop. Chippy nonstop in the picture as well. It's like, I don't know, man. Man hardly takes pictures of myself, let alone taking pictures with other people and then posting them and like, get out of here. And like I said, what's with the not tagging? Some things are tagged, some things aren't tagged. What's going on there? Bless Madonna, you know, there as well. So like, I don't know, man. I see this stuff and I cringe. I cringe so fucking much. I think this is so fucking lame. There's nothing about this that's cool. I'd rather vomit in my own mouth, spit it out, put it in a cup, stick it in the microwave, and then drink it again. I want none of this. I want none of this. None of this whatsoever. Honestly. Why isn't there one person on here that's not known? Why isn't there one venue manager, one booking manager, your mum, your dad, your brother, your cousin that got you into something? Why is it all famous people? They're the only ones that matter, really, isn't it, right? They're the only ones that really matter. Fuck all the real friends I have. It's the famous ones that actually matter. I don't know, man. This poach is so cringe. So fucking cringe. So fucking cringe. But big up Patrick Mason because like I said, he's very successful. He's doing a lot of bits with himself here. Look, he's on the cover of DJ Magazine. He got a cover on DJ Mag. He's playing in all these different places. He's going to fashion shows. He's posting slideshows of all his achievements and maybe, you know, expensive things that he's got. I think that's a Shoreditch House membership thing there. Of course it is. Cool pictures in the slideshow. Living that life, you get me? Living that freaking life. So congrats to him. All this stuff is great to see. But me personally, I'd rather pretend to be cool. I'd rather have a really outsized ego that makes no fucking sense than do this sort of nonsense. I don't know. I'm just not ready for it. I'm just not ready for it. I haven't got the temperament for it. I haven't got the stomach for it. And I just simply cannot do it. Because I saw this and everything in me kind of cringe. And like I said, there's been no part 2. There's been no part 2. I saw part 1, but there's been no part 2 to this. Oh my God, all my friends are so awesome post. There's been no part 2. There's only been a part 1. Really interesting that's the case, isn't it? Very, very interesting that's the case. But again, what do I know? Absolutely nothing. Big up blood clot Patrick Mason. Moving on. Talking about DJs, big up Azealia Banks. I thought this post was very on point and very interesting. Azealia Banks sat down and decided to shout out a booking agency called Earth Agency. I want to know actually who's on the roster of Earth Agency because this is a really interesting post because I thought to myself, if Azealia Banks is shouting out her agency that she signed with called Earth, they must be pretty decent because any agency that's able to handle, control, manage, help, work with someone like Azealia Banks, knowing how, you know, hard she is to work with at times, they're a good fucking label. They're a good agency to sign with. So this is Earth Agency. Here are some of the acts that they've got. Who do I recognize here? Who do I recognize? Not a lot of people, to be fair. 24 Hour Garage, I don't know who these people are. Yeah, a lot of people here I don't really recognize. I'm not gonna lie. Aluna I know, Air Cold I know, Anastasia Cope I know, Andrew Ashong I know. Who else I know on here? A few people, right? There's a few people here I know. but you can see some of the acts that they kind of represent. All from DJs to artists to bands to collectives, producers, and everything else in between, right? Pretty decent, right? And if I'm not mistaken, it looks like there's a focus on like black artists. I see a lot of Icy Freeze here, which is quite cool to see. I see a lot of Icy Freeze mixing with some Mundeles, but a lot of Icy Freeze. So I guess they're going in that direction. Oh, big up Champion. I used to book him back in the day for one of the club nights used to do in Alibi. Big up DJ Champion. Absolute legend. Nice guy as well. So a lot of good people there. I really like the post from Azealia Banks because she said the following. She said, yo, big up Oram, big up Oram, big up Oram, big up Blood Clot, Oram. Oh, big up, oh shit, I saw some comments here. Big up everybody else in the stream chat. Apologies, I completely ignored you. Big up Coila, I don't care for Shane's opinion on cool people because he's overweight and a bit insecure, slow Joe type. Big up Coiler, not caring people's opinion because they're overweight is fucking hilarious. Big up Fashion Roadman 2, Wagwan G. Not gonna lie, being a DJ and not being able to dance should be a criminal offense. Yep. But when I say it, people get mad. Whenever I say this on Reddit and shit, I get downvoted to blood clot. People don't like to hear that sort of shit, but I maintain that being a DJ and not being able to dance is not acceptable. But hey, what do I know? Big up Ibrew. What's your stance on the Yeezy Gap Balenciaga nowadays? Looking back, was it a good collabo? Of course it was a good collabo. Why would you even ask that? One of the best collabos, man, ever. It's a shame we didn't get the entire thing. There was so much stuff that should have dropped that didn't drop, man. That collaboration was great. A lot of the Yeezy stuff has aged pretty well, to be honest. Especially when you consider the amount of brands that have kind of built their entire brands off of the back of that Yeezy legacy. Off of the back of that Yeezy fucking archetype, that Yeezy aesthetic, that Yeezy design. Let's be honest. That template, that shape, the forms, the silhouettes, all of that sort of shit, man. Ye did a lot of good. Ye gave a lot of people fashion careers, a lot of people brands life, gave them a lot of inspiration. So I think Yeezy in general has aged really well, in my opinion. Has really aged really well. Anyway, going back to his post, Azealia Banks shout out Earth Agency, and I thought it was pretty cool because, like I said, Azealia Banks is kind of a bit of a nightmare to deal with. So if she shouted out her agency, it means the agency is pretty decent. She says, yo, Earth Agency is high-key the best booking agency I've ever worked with. The way they are so thorough with shit and do not just take their commission and go like, no. They get into the nitty-gritty international tax affairs and really slay it. Primary talent used to be good, but they tried to US merge a thing and really ain't been the same since. And Matt Bates is petty as fuck. APA did a merger and now are IIG, and to be fair, I really did have a bottom barrel agent at APA who was stealing money, so I probably can't give them a fair assessment. 33 and West is just complete clown show shit and they're really fucking pits. But wow, the way I'm loving Earth Agency, blood clot. So big up Earth Agency. This is a really good endorsement for them, and I think any artist coming up, you should probably take a look at Earth Agency to try and get booked or represented by them, because if they're able to do well by Azealia Banks, who's very quick to criticize, very quick to kind of speak her mind, she seems like she's not the easiest person to work with. If she's having a good time with Earth Agency, I would hazard a guess that they are probably run the right way. They know what they're fucking doing. They have really good people working there. One thing I've read online somewhere, that some agents, some booking agencies, some representation, I thought the flat rate was 10%. Allegedly, I've heard people saying some agents even request 13%, sometimes 20%, which is fucking insane when you think about it, right? I think 10% is already a little bit too much, but if you're going to have somebody representing you in your best interest and fighting for you, advocating for you, and sometimes there are just some doors that representation are just going to be able to open more so than you can ever do, fine. But 13% is too much. Too much. So I don't know how much Earth Agency charges or what their rates are in general, but it looks like Azealia Banks is happy with it, so I'm happy that she's happy. And I also like the fact that their roster is very eclectic and far-reaching and seems to cover a broad spectrum of artists, all the way from bands to DJs to whatever else in between. I fucking love it. And I also love the fact that they've got a lot of Icy Freeze. Look, they've got Doneo, UK Funky, Garage Grime Legend from back in the day. Big up Blood Clot Doneo there. They got a bunch of people on here. Big up Druski. Yeah, nice, man. Nice. I'm not mad at it. Big up Earth Agency. And big up Azealia Banks for shouting out agency and giving them the flowers. You love to see it. You love to see it. Moving on, I also wanted to slightly touch upon Joe Budden bumping into fucking blood clot 50 Cent at the Knicks game. I thought this was fucking brilliant. As you guys know, Joe Budden has been having a bit of a tete-a-tete with 50 on the timeline. Mostly because, if I'm not mistaken, when Irv Gotti from Murder Inc. RIP passed away, 50 Cent was celebrating on the timeline. Now, if you're plugged in with hip-hop, you know that 50 and Irv and Murder Inc. have had long beef. Like, beef in terms of, like, people nearly losing their lives, guns being pulled, people being rushed, money being blocked, opportunities being stopped. So that's the type of beef that you take to the grave. Like, I've got beef with people like A-Side, Palace, and other people, right, who I've known from when I was a kid. And I'm still holding on to that stuff bitter, right? So every time they fail, I'm fucking celebrating their failures and shit. And if they go down, I'm going to piss on their grave. And that's like a minor issue that could be forgiven and moved on. But this guy had actual beef. So it's really funny that Joe Budden sometimes feels as if, or had any type of idea, any type of thinking that he should be telling 50 how he should behave and that he should grow up and get over it. You're rich, it doesn't matter. It's like, nah, man, fuck that guy. I hate him. So even though it was quite tasteless at the time, because Irv Gotti passed away in not the best circumstances. Before he passed away, he was sounding kind of crazy on the timeline. He was sounding kind of bitter and mad and whatever else it may be. And maybe, you know, it kind of looked a bit away and people maybe kind of, you know, got some sort of karmic retribution and happiness from the fact that he passed because he was being so negative and angry and horrible to people like Ashanti and people connected with it. But I completely understood why 50 would be, you know, celebrating and sort of popping a bottle due to Irv Gotti passing away because he didn't like that guy. They were sworn enemies. They nearly died over that beef. Cool. So Joe decides to tell 50 to grow up and get over it and it's okay, be classy, go to therapy or something. 50 obviously didn't take it too well and they went back and forth and 50, you know, sent some thinly veiled threats towards Joe. I think there was an interaction where Joe Budden was at some sort of strip club somewhere and allegedly he must have bumped into or heard 50 was about to roll in, so he left. And he's been kind of running scared ever since. So it's funny that randomly during a Knicks game for the playoffs, they seated Joe Budden right behind 50 Cent. And it's funny in terms of optics because 50 was sat on the front row on the, you know, on the fucking court side, whatever it's fucking called, of the basketball game, and Joe was behind him. So he wasn't even sat alongside him as like another fellow like bigwig, you know? He had to sit behind. Now, technically, the behind the seats maybe are a little bit better because you're not on the floor, because floor seats, I'd imagine in the basketball game, it might be a little bit beneficial to kind of see the game from a little bit of a height, kind of looking down. But I do love the fact that they seated Joe behind 50. So he had to still be around him and kind of feel that pressure and be put on some level of manners. I freaking love it. I freaking love that still happened in real time the way it happened. Obviously, Joe's going to cap and say something else happened and it was all okay, whatever. But I love the fact that he was probably very nervous, didn't know what to do. And 50 most likely gave him grace because he was with his girl, because it was a Knicks game, all this sort of shit. He probably gave him a lot of grace. But I love the fact that all this shit he's been talking, he finally got put in a position where he was in front of or in the presence of that person and he couldn't run away. Now, the issue that I have with this sort of shit is that I would say, which I find really interesting, like, well, maybe that's why people rate Joe Budden, but I find it interesting how someone like a Joe, who tends to go out more, like, he's not like Academics. Academics doesn't leave his house, but Joe actually goes outside. So I've always found it interesting how or why Joe is okay with saying the things that he says about people, knowing full well he will most likely bump into them in real life. Because he's not about anything. Like, we've seen how Joe Budden's built, right? We've seen that he looks kind of pregnant. We've seen that he's enjoying his riches and he's buying Ferraris and he's eating fucking lobster rolls and steak dinners and calamari and onion rings and triple cooked fries and shit and broccoli and, you know, honey roasted barbecue, this and that. Joe's living well. He's living good. You can tell. His cheeks are full and his belly's fat. And he's got scoliosis. He can't really move that well. I've seen him play basketball. He looks a little bit, you know, doesn't look the most fluid. Doesn't look athletic. So I've always wondered how somebody like him can bark, can shout, can scream, can get so irate, can get so spicy, can get so messy when he can't fight. Like, and if he can fight, the most he has in him is one punch. The most he has in him is the ability to throw one punch. Why would you be so quick and so willing and so able to talk so much grease, knowing full well if somebody catches you, it's a wrap. If somebody catches you on road, it's a wrap. Why is he talking so spicy? But maybe that's why people like him. Because despite of what he looks like, despite his inability to actually defend himself, despite his, you know, lack of athleticism, he's also not worried and also not scared to say what he wants to say just for the sake of content, just for the sake of clicks, just for the sake of views. Content over everything. COE king. So I kind of rate that. I'm not going to lie. I kind of rate that he did that. But yeah, I want to hear the full story. We'll obviously hear it soon on the JBP, but I can't wait to hear the story and the spin, because I also read a rumor that he allegedly left the game before the end. And it was funny because I think his girl tweeted something like, "Oh my God, so happy I was at the game." She tried to clean up and say, "Yeah, I left early. We left early because I was so fucking lit. I was so drunk." And it's like, girl, come on. Why are you running to get in front of this story? Why are you overly sharing this sort of details and being overly precise with what happened, or, you know, sharing too many details exactly? Like, why? And I'm thinking she's doing it to run cover and to kind of save her man blushes, because he was clearly scared and tried to get out of there before the game ended, just in case 50 changed his mind. Because it looked like 50 kind of gave him grace. And I saw a screenshot somewhere that said one of 50's friends asked 50 for permission to snatch Joe's chain, but 50 said chill. So I think Joe made the right decision to leave before the end, because you never know. Once the liquor gets going, once the cameras, you know, leave the court, and there's not a matter of people around, maybe he would have got pressed differently. So maybe a smart decision to leave. But I love the fact that he got put on notice, and fucking 50 basically told him in no uncertain terms, "Hey, don't play with me." I fucking love it. I fucking love it. Big up Blood Cut 50 Cent. Big up Mr. O in the stream chat. Thank you, Mr. O, for the super chat. What are you saying here? AZ, I'll say this. Real artists are really about the craft, and the art will always recognize real artists. Sweet and Low v real game sugar. Real cane sugar. Yeah, you know, you're right. I think you're referring to the subject I was talking about earlier regarding being cringe, and embracing the cringe is one of the main roots in terms of being successful and shit. And we're talking about, or I mentioned Patrick Mason and this really cringe-inducing post that he made, thanking all of these famous superstar DJs that he's friends with, and tagging them and making this slideshow of all these DJs that he's played with over the years. I find that incredibly bath and vomit-inducing. So that is true. I just think we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that some people are good at that sort of stuff. Some people should do that sort of stuff and embrace it as part of your journey. But if you can't do it, don't do it, and don't try and force it, because it will look even worse than what it looks like on Patrick Mason. You know, try and pick another route to success. Try and pick another journey for yourself. Don't try and go down that one path that someone else can do, because it's not going to work for you, I would imagine. But I could be wrong. I really could be wrong. Before we continue, bear with me 1 second. I need to quickly just make sure that I've got this loaded where it needs to be. Hold on. Actually, let me just delete this now. Let's see if this works. Let's say browser. AP. Bear with me 1 second here as I get this to load. Let's see if I can do this properly. Okay, cool. And then let's get that. We got that. Bish bash bosh. Okay, cool. Boom. Alright, big up everybody tuning into. If you like what you're seeing what you like, make sure you smash the like button down below. That'd be greatly appreciated, people. Obviously subscribe, all that good shit. We're gonna go on for a couple of hours still, so make sure that you get involved if you're not involved already. You get me? Cool. Let's move on. Hey yo, big up Megan Cunniff. She shared a pretty embarrassing but pretty funny post here regarding Druski. So most of you guys know that Druski is going through a bit of a situation where one of the ladies is accusing Druski of some very heinous crimes relating to Diddy and baby oil and freak offs and whatever else it may be. And Druski is basically clapping back and saying that he could have not been involved at the time that girl was saying that he was involved, because at that time he was still kind of coming up and grinding and trying to make his way and trying to get famous online, but he's essentially living at home still. So he's kind of now sharing some information and some details to prove the fact that he couldn't have been where that girl is alleging he was, because he was still living with his parents or living with family and shit. So this post, courtesy of Megan Cunniff, shows some documents that Druski has submitted to the courts to prove that he couldn't have been doing slip and slides on girls with baby oil with Diddy at a freak off at that time, because he was basically broke and coming up. And this is kind of inspiring. I'm not gonna lie. This is kind of inspiring to see how essentially we are all on the same level. We all kind of grafted the same way. Some of us are just a bit more open with sharing certain details, but everybody kind of comes from that humble beginnings, grafting with absolutely nothing, and then eventually coming to a place where Druski's at now, where he's super famous, super rich, all this malarkey. So, courtesy of Megan Cunniff on Twitter, the caption says, according to bank records I just obtained, Druski was broke as a joke back in March 2018. I don't think she needs to add the broke as a joke bit. That was a bit too spicy there, but hey. When the sensational lawsuit alleges that he was at a celebrity party in California, 91 cents to his name. He's also spending money in Georgia, which is pretty far from California. So I guess Druski submitted details from his bank that show that he had a certain amount in his account at that time of speaking, 91 cents. So that meant he couldn't have been with Diddy. He couldn't have been partying in California. He couldn't have been taking part in Freakos because his Bank of America account was not where it needed to be. As Kevin Hart would have said, you know, the way his bank account works and shit, it wasn't where it was. So if you zoom in here, you'll see Druski's Bank of America bank statement, and it says here his balance on the 9th of April 2018 was 91 cents. What do you know about having 91 cents in your account? Woo, I know some things. What do you know about, what do you know about having, because I use an electric key, right? And back in the day, we used to do it at home. Who remembers back in the day, sometimes if you have an electric key, you get like emergency funds. So you get like an emergency amount that you can kind of use. And I think back in the day, it might have been 20. Now it's, I think, £10, not too sure. But you get like an emergency amount. So if your power goes off, you can still use it. Who remembers back in the day, sometimes if you top up your key, but you've used the emergency funds, not accurately calculating it. So when you go to a shop, instead of clearing the debt and adding credit to it, you just clear the debt. So when you put the key in it, you don't have the money anymore. You clear the debt, but you don't have enough money to actually have power. So you're back to square one. Who knows about that? Huh? Who knows about that? Who knows about moving money? And now it's brilliant. Before in the past, it was super hard. But now it's super easy with mobile banking and with apps or bank accounts like Monzo and stuff and Revolut. You can easily move money between accounts. But who knows the pain of like thinking you have £5, but then by the time you leave your house or by the time you go to the shops, Apple has taken out whatever they're taking out for an app or for a subscription out of your account, and now you're left with like £1.29. You thought you had £5 that was gonna hold you down to buy some eggs, maybe some bread, maybe some cheese, maybe maybe some tea, maybe some coffee, maybe a takeaway, whatever you wanted to buy. You had your little £5 that you were planning to kind of squeeze and get the most out of. Then you go to the shops, you have your basket, you go to the till, you tap your card on the fucking machine, and it says declined. And you're like, fuck, this isn't even a lot. You're trying to spend like £4.29, and it says declined. You're like, ugh. And then you realize that Apple hit your account 3 times for £1, £1. You're like, shit. And you have to embarrassingly walk out of that bank, out of that shop with like and leave behind £4.29 worth of groceries. Who knows about that, huh? Who knows about that? Ooh wee. That shit will make you question everything. That shit will make you question everything. But I have to say, and I will always stand by this, and it's something that I'm always going to hold on to. I think for a lot of people coming, especially people within the creative world, I want to stress the importance of making money. I remember when I was coming up, I was always in the back of my mind waiting for somebody to come along and like save me. I think everybody feels that way, right? You're kind of hoping someone's going to choose you. Someone's going to notice something you did on social media. They're going to see you around somewhere and they're going to say, yeah, you, come with me. Yeah, you, here's this job, here's whatever. It doesn't work that way. And I think the best way to kind of approach trying to figure out a career in the arts, in the creative field, in the entertainment field, just go get a regular job. Just go get a regular job and then do that shit you want to do on the side. I'm going to die on that hill. I know I've got friends in particular, big up Natalia, who think completely differently, and I appreciate and love people like that. Natalia, one of my friends who I kind of came up with DJing with, she's more so of the school of working a shitty bar job for 6 months, saving that money, and then using that money to live on for the next 6 months, and then in that 6 months trying to figure out and make it. And if you don't make it, repeat the cycle again. That's what she believes in, right? I don't personally. I believe in working an honest job, a proper decent job, having a good salary, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, ball breaking, soul breaking, ass breaking work, but at least you make money so that you can support yourself. Because there's nothing more demoralizing. Yes, it's a bit discouraging when you see people who are far younger than you achieving way more than you've ever achieved. Yes, it's discouraging when people who just started yesterday are getting further ahead than you. Yes, it's discouraging when you're being left on scene, when people aren't opening your emails, when you feel like you're lost touch or you're not involved, blah, 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 blah. But I think there's nothing that comes close to not being able to look after yourself in terms of discouraging. Nothing comes close to feeling down, to making you feel fucking horrible about yourself if you don't have the ability to look after yourself. You don't have the ability to pay your bills. You don't have the ability to keep, to buy your groceries, to buy yourself some new underwear, to, I don't know, to cover an emergency in your crib if your fucking water breaks and shit. All those things are really important, and you can only do that shit with money. So I really do implore people to focus more on the money, focus more on the jobs, make sure you got a decent salary, save up whatever it needs to be, and then figure out all that creative, expressive shit on the side not elsewhere, but another time, Figure that out in your free time. Figure that out after work, from like, as the Gary Vee would say, from like 7 to 1. Figure out that sort of stuff after the fact. But 9 to 5, 9 to 6, focus on your fucking day-to-day job, because there is nothing that's going to make you more depressed than looking at your bank account and seeing that you have $91 or 91 cents, sorry, not even a dollar. And I don't even know if you can, I'm sure America is similar to the UK. There's probably not a lot of places where you could even spend 91 cents on your bank card. There's not a lot of places where you can even pay with 91 cents. It's usually, there's like a minimum charge that shops have for processing fees or whatever it may be. So you basically got nothing. Like, nothing will make you more demoralized or more sad than having nothing. So focus more on actually getting something. But it's good to see that Druski came from having zero to getting somewhere. And it's also great to see that, there were people in fucking Druski's life who were, helping him out, like his mum. Big up Druski's mum. Big up blood clot Cheryl. Or big up someone in his family, whether it's his mum or his auntie, because it looks like she was the main reason why he had any funds coming in. She was dropping the odd 15, the odd 10, the odd 20. Like, you know what I mean? Mumsy was coming through and holding Druski down while he was grafting, trying to make his dreams come true. Zelle transfers, boom, 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 boom. Super, super important. And I'm sure now he's probably looked after her and he's kind of making sure that she's good. But that is an example of what the grind looks like. 91 cents in his bank account. 91 cents. Fucking wild. And everything else. Look, McDonald's spending, which is also funny, by the way, right? Still going to McDonald's, right? And buying like takeaways and all that sort of shit when you have 91 cents is crazy. But when you're going through what you're going through, sometimes you need to just, you need to make yourself feel good. So I'm sure Druski is somewhere comparing bank statements and thinking to himself, raw, in 2018 I had 91 cents and now he might have a few million in his account. So it's pretty cool to see. It's pretty cool to see. Big up Koila. What about that overdraft? Yeah, I haven't had an overdraft in a while. The last time I had an overdraft was when I was in uni. I got rid of that shit quickly. Overdraft will kill you. I haven't had an overdraft in many, 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 many years, and I'm glad I don't. I also don't have a credit card. I'm glad I don't either, because that shit will kill you, and I'm happy I don't, because wow, man, the amount of times, like, I remember there was a time when I was in uni where I think I might have been in overdraft for the whole calendar year. The whole 12 months I was in overdraft, because any money that came in went back out again. Like, I was never like not negative, if you get what I mean. I was always using that money to like buy shoes, sell them, buy this money. Like I was never like always negative the entire year. That must have done wonders for my credit score, by the way. That must have done wonders for my credit score. But I remember there was a whole entire year where I was never above my overdraft ever. Every money that came in went out. Every money that came in went out instantly. Absolutely crazy times. Big up the overdraft gang. Big up the Blood Clot overdraft gang. Big up Young Old Vibes. When the lights go off, so you lie and say it's a newborn in the house, so they cut them back. Wow, is it? Big up Young. I didn't know that you could do that. Is that true? Big up Young Old Vibes. When the lights go off, so you lie and say there's a newborn in the house, so they put them back on. That is amazing. That is amazing, but also you feel like a real piece of shit when you do that, right? That's like lying at work, and I'm sure some of you guys have done it. I've done it myself. I'm sure some of you guys have done it, but there's that time that comes, and usually it's not anything crazy. You're just not even partying. Usually it's just, you know, those times where you fucking oversleep. Or sorry, you sleep through your alarm. You guys remember those times, right? You sleep through your alarm. You don't get up in time for work, and it's literally like when you wake up, it's literally time to start work. So no matter how quickly you get ready, you're not gonna get there on time. You're already an hour late minimum. And then you think to yourself, you know what? I have to do this. You pick up the phone, have you contact your manager, whether it's through Slack on your iPhone, on your app, whether it's through text, whether it's calling, and you decide, hey, I can't come in because somebody died. We've all done it. I don't want anyone to lie. We've all fucking done it. But you know when you say that, you know that you've done a really bad thing, and you know it's the only time you can use that excuse. It's a one and done excuse. And you also know that it might severely change how you're looked at work, because everybody knows you're also lying. But you have to invent that someone died, whether it's a sibling, whether it's a family member, an aunt, an uncle, a friend. You say somebody died so that you have an excuse not to come into work that day. Or at least so you can say that you got there late. And I know we've all done it. I know I've done it. I know people have done it in the past, and it's absolutely abhorrent. It's crazy. It's also a bad karma. But sometimes you've got to do what you got to do. Because that feeling of waking up and knowing that you start work at 9 and you've opened your eyes and it's 8:55 and your hour and your workplace is like an hour away. You haven't showered. You haven't brushed your teeth. You haven't got changed. You haven't packed your lunch. Nothing. You haven't even traveled to work. You know you're going to get there late. So you have to make up some lie, just to excuse yourself from not going in. It's horrible. It's heinous. I know. But we've done it. I know I've done it. I know I've flipping done it. Moving on. Big up Subway Takes. Big up Subway Takes. Big up Subway Takes. Sitting down with this guy called Rami for a Subway take that I think is pretty insane. It says fundamentally everybody is a good person. I think he's completely wrong with his take, but regardless, let's hear his justification for saying everybody is fundamentally a good person. Big up Rami. Oh, big up, Mr. O. Sorry, let me repeat that. I missed your notification. Big up, Mr. O. Appreciate you for the super chat, brother. One more time. Big up, Mr. O. Come on, you're gonna work. One more second. Let's hopefully it works. Is it gonna work? Why isn't it working? My T-test is being fucking annoying right now. I don't know why it's not working there. Big up blood clot Mr. Oda. For some reason, don't know why it's not working. Bear with me a second here. Why is it not working there? One more time. Is that gonna work? Okay, cool. I'll read that myself. Big up Mr. O. The amount of shame walking into an office knowing that you just had a night of hedonistic debauchery is goated. Yeah. It's the best. But I also love the fact that sometimes, in my personal opinion, some of the greatest, bestest relationships, friendships I've ever formed with people in the office have been after a crazy night out. Especially if you've had the ability to kind of party with them. Like you go out for like staff drinks, and then usually a group from that staff drinks then peels off and goes elsewhere, and then you get really loose, you get really leery with that group of people, and that leads to then other, extracurricular activities. The day after can be really defining, because sometimes you can come into the office and ignore each other, or you can really try and build on that bond that you made previously, and now you're proper friends. To the point where you're inviting each other to people's parties, you're going to their weddings, you're going on holidays together. Like, that's a real defining moment in your office life. But it also can be the beginning of the end, because you can sometimes get lost in the sauce of like Friday drinks, Thursday pizzas, Friday drinks again. Because I know one thing, I remember working in some places where like people will start drinking after work on the Tuesday. They're already getting bored, they're already getting fed up of the week. They already start getting on it. They already start ordering baggies on the Tuesday after work. They are so hating what they do, which is very toxic and very bad. But big up Mr. O. Going back to what this guy Rami said about people not being everyone being fundamentally good. I think that really discounts evil people. And I think that takes away from the fact that some people aren't good. Some people are intrinsically bad people, which is perfectly okay. I think you need the bad to have good. You need the light to have the darkness. And I think going out of your way to try to rationalize or explain that everybody's inherently somewhat good really doesn't do you any good. It does you a disservice, because the actual world that we live in, not the one that you want to create in your brain, but the real world that we all kind of encounter with, we all sometimes cross paths with people who are inherently horrible from the jump, who don't know you, haven't met you ever, could never tell you, apart from a can of paint, but somehow decide to go all fucking crazy on you because they're inherently bad people. Then you extrapolate that and you look at people who do loads of bad in the world, people that start wars, people that R-word people, murder people, all this malarkey, touch kids. What are those people? Are they just, should we just blame their behavior on their upbringing? Should we blame somebody else for the things that they do, for the heinous crimes they commit, for the pain and suffering they put people through? No. They are bad people. They are evil people, and you should stay away from them. That's what they are. They should act as a deterrent. They should act as a warning sign. They should act as a red flag. They should act as a course correction motif, for lack of a better term, so that you can live life a certain way. That's what I personally think. But big up Rami. Big up Blood Clot Rami. Big up Blood Clot Rami. Moving on. Let's talk a little bit about this information courtesy of Complex Sneakers regarding the Bread Air Jordan 1 85s that are meant to be re-releasing again. So Jordan Brand made a big stink about these shoes releasing in the first place, talking about the craftsmanship, talking about how hard they were to put together, how they had to remake the last, they had to construct this, construct that, how many hours it took, the pricing, limited edition drop, only for them to re-release them in maybe more quantity further down the line, which is a textbook thing that Nike or Jordan Brand would do. Textbook thing. Anybody that's bought sneakers over the years would know this is no surprise at all that Jordan Brand, Nike would do such a thing. But this is Complex Sneakers trying to clear up the confusion that they put out there, because they originally stated that they were gonna drop, then they course correct and said they weren't gonna drop, and now they're saying they will drop but as a different SKU. Who fucking knows? But this is Complex Sneakers trying to clear up whether the Bread Air Jordan 85s are actually gonna retro again this year. Oh, you can't do it? Oh man, really? Oh fuck. Okay, cool. Let me put it back again. Big up Younger Vibes. Let's start again.
Oh, look. More Bread Jordan 1s. Is the Bread Jordan 1 restocking? Is it re-releasing? Is Santa Claus real? Okay, real quick update on this. Yes, there's another release of the black and red Air Jordan 1 High 85 coming this holiday season. On Monday, Sneaker News reported that the shoe was restocking for holiday. They wrote that Jordan Brand would unleash a second batch. After that, Soul Retriever, citing, quote, direct sources at Jordan Brand, responded to the report saying that what was coming was not a restock, but a quote-unquote new makeover of the Air Jordan 1 85 High Bread that released earlier this year. DJ Folk, who's a good source, says a new one will be $250. All this is a little confusing, so we reached out to a Jordan Brand source to get some clarity as well. They tell us that the same shoe is releasing, but packaged along with some other things, which makes it sound to us like some sort of deluxe re-release. Sneaker News keenly pointed out that this could line up with Jordan Brand's Band Day in October. So yes, the same Air Jordan 1 Bread High 85 will be releasing again, but it's not a traditional restock. Jordan Brand isn't making a bunch more pairs just because people were mad that they were limited the first time. The special edition coming will be more limited. We hope that clears things up.
I don't think it does clear anything up. They're re-releasing it. It doesn't matter if they're more limited or not. Jordan Brand's full of shit. Complex Sneakers is full of shit. The sneaker industry is full of shit. And they just get you over the barrel. Nothing is really limited, ever. Whatever you want to buy, you can buy, especially if you're willing to pay the resale prices. If you have less scruples, you could obviously buy the pair yourself, courtesy of flipping rep sites and shit. You don't even need to fucking buy it legitimately from the stores anymore nowadays, especially if you believe in fucking China supremacy. But I love the fact that they're just, instead of actually making a new shoe, instead of actually making a new silhouette, instead of investing in innovation, in research, in design, in whatever else it may be, to actually push things forward and create new moments, create new legacies, they're still going to go back into that well with retro. They just don't learn. I guess maybe because of that recent sales or stock call, investor call, sorry, they had recently, where they admitted that essentially like sales across Nike are down. Instead of them going back to the drawing board and trying to freshen things up so they can compete with all these other brands that are sort of, matching what they're doing or eating into some of their profits, they're just going back into the fucking archives and digging out more retros and re-releasing things again and again and again and again and again as a cheap, surefire way to basically improve the stock, improve the sales, and to make, I guess, shareholders happy. Personally, I would prefer if they did innovate, they did push things forward, if they did try to introduce new silhouettes, did try to create new moments. But I guess with the industry being the way it is, and maybe with sneakerheads also, especially guys in America being fixated with fucking retros, we're probably never going to go away from there. We're probably never going to get away from it. So it's not surprising to see them go back to that well. I just didn't expect it to be so soon, because these shoes just dropped recently and they're already going back to retro a shoe that already dropped because they want to, celebrate Band Week. I don't even know what the fuck that means. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Big up Jordan Brand. Big up Jordan Brand to a certain extent. Big up Blood Clot Jordan Brand to a certain extent. Moving on. Let's talk a little bit let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about this. I'm sure some of you guys have seen this. I thought this interview was really fucking funny. It features Aitch sitting down with Grime Daily, talking about his perceived issues that he has with Central Cee. Now, I thought this interview, this conversation was really interesting and illuminating, more so because it wasn't really Aitch talking about Central Cee. It was more so Aitch talking about his issues with Clint, the founder of Corteiz. And it's funny because from what I can gather from what Aitch is saying, he doesn't really have a problem with Corteiz guy. It seems like if they did ever bump into each other, there is a possibility that they could actually squash it and be friends in some way, shape or form. Because it seems like he even admires the guy, likes the guy. He bigged up the clothes that he makes and shit. He's probably in that position where I am in when it comes to Palace, where I fucking hate the founders and everything about Palace, so I'd never wear it. But I see stuff they make and I would love to wear it, but I just can't because I hate the people behind it. So I think he's the same when it comes to Corteiz. He can't wear the shit, even though he loves the brand, because he has beef with the founder. But if you ever bumped into him, he probably would squash it so he could wear the stuff. Me personally, I would never, but I'd love that he says that. But like I said previously, it's really interesting because his main issue seems to be with Corteiz guy, not with Central Cee. But he does make some really great observation about Central Cee and the perceived white privilege that he says Central Cee says he gets when he says they're both the same people. I think it's really illuminating and really funny. Big up Aitch.
Be all and end all of it all now, right? I'm going to break it down into points. I won the Brit in 2022 or 3, whatever it was, yeah? I won the Brit and another rapper was nominated. We know who this rapper is. He's the biggest rapper in the world, right? Cool.
I have to say though, that year he won the Brit was a bit crazy. He probably shouldn't have won it. He was up against crazy, I think it was like Dave, Skepta, whatever. Anyway, glitterati of the who's who best UK rappers. He had no business winning that award. But he also mentions that allegedly, I didn't know this is true, but allegedly part of the nomination or criteria of winning an award at the Brits is fan voting. So I guess he got his fans to vote for him to win it, which I'm not too sure if that's actually true, but who knows?
I've won the Brit, and as soon as I sat down on the table, these tweets online from my man who owns that clothing brand saying, like posting a tweet of like when Macklemore won a Grammy over like Kanye and Jay-Z or something, which is a mad thing, you know what I mean, right? Putting bare tweets on saying that I've bought the Brit and all that, basically implying that I've won the Brit because I'm white. Cool. Now, first of all, it was a public vote, so anyone else you wanted to win, they could have just posted it on the story and been like, vote for me. And the way Cinch was going on, he would have won.
So I find that interesting. So I wonder why that people don't do that. I guess people don't want to post those things on their social media because it looks beggy and everyone wants to act too cool for school. Everyone wants to act mysterious and shit and doesn't want to look desperate. So I guess that's why you don't post links to public polls to help you win an award. If that was me and I was up for an award, I would definitely post it on mine. But I guess if you're a road rapper, if you're a UK drill artist, you can't really seem to be doing that sort of stuff because it looks kind of beggy. It makes you look kind of soft, I guess, in a way. But you then can't complain if somebody else that's nominated does that and reaps the rewards of it and is now being celebrated and gets the award. You can't really blame them for doing that.
If he would have just posted, vote for me, he would have got more votes than me, but he didn't. Cool. And furthermore, you're going on like I've got this big massive white privilege card, like my man who you're rooting for hasn't got exactly the same card. If that
and I can't lie, right? These are I forgot what the show is called, but the guy behind Grime Daily, this guy Posty, he does these interviews where he drives around in really nice cars with an artist or whoever it may be, and they have these conversations. And they're usually pretty decent interviews, but they're a conversation. You know, you're in a car, you're chatting, and he's quite an opinionated guy. This is the first time in my life seeing these clips on, like I've never watched a full episode. I've seen the clips of them, but the first time I've seen a clip where this guy's been so quiet. He's never this quiet, and the reason why he's being this quiet is because he's in the industry. He's probably got connections with people that are associated with Central Cee, whether that's from Trapstar, whether that's from his label, whether that's from somebody who manages him, whatever. There's some way related or cool or hang out. So he's trying to be as neutral as he can because he's friends with Central Cee, but he knows what Aitch is saying is true. So he has to just be quiet. But I've never seen this guy this quiet ever in my life. Like, he's never this quiet. He's always yapping. He always has something to say. He's always kind of throwing his opinion out there, pushing back against the artist, asking him to follow up questions, clarifying things, making jokes. But this is he's literally focusing on driving. I've never seen him more focused on driving than this particular interview. And the other funny thing as well I thought about it is that I'm pretty sure this guy is like friends with a lot of people that I grew up with, like good friends with people that I grew up with. And I've always found it interesting. Like, it happens all the time in friendship groups. Isn't it funny whenever there's somebody that knows somebody that you know that's like a brother to you, that's like a proper best friend, somebody that you kind of grow up with when you were younger, but you don't know that person at all. Like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever exchanged a single word with this guy, but I'm pretty sure he's friends with some people that I've kind of grown up with, people from ends that I've known since I was like 13 and shit. Yet we've never had a direct conversation. I always find that very interesting, how you can know somebody in common, but you have nothing in common with that person, but you both love and appreciate the same person. Very odd how that happens. Very odd.
If you're writing what you're saying, do you get what I mean? Like, are you mad? Like, just because man wears a do-rag, it doesn't take away the cat looking. Do you get?
That's one of the best lines I've ever heard in my life. Just because Central Cee wears a do-rag doesn't mean he's less white than me. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're both white. That is so fucking true. And then, of course, I had to look into Central Cee's ancestry because why the fuck not? And from what I've been able to read, he's mostly Chinese and white, if I'm not mistaken. Central Cee. That's why he looks the way he does. I actually thought he had some black in him, but it's mostly just Chinese and white. His mum is a fully white person, and his dad, if I'm not mistaken, is like Chinese and something, which is why he looks the way he does. Because he could easily look like somebody that's from like Central Europe, Eastern Europe as well, depending on what he's wearing. But I love that Aitch made that point of like, yeah, he's also racially ambiguous. That also helps him. That's also a form of white privilege, which is kind of true.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say. Are you following me right now?
No,
you following me?
You haven't made a point that's not valid.
Right. So cool. So that's that.
That's the most PC response ever. You've not made a point that's not valid yet. That's the best way you can agree with somebody without publicly agreeing with them and pissing off your guys that you're friends with. I love it.
Right. Bearing in mind, I've never met my man. I don't know this guy. Yeah. Cool. So the person you're rooting for, skin tone wise, is literally my colour. But for some reason, I'm a cunt for winning the Brit because I'm white on a public vote. Sweet, there's that point done.
And the other thing that really makes it odd too, I get that Corteiz is like friends with Central Cee and all those guys. I get it, but Central Cee is also like a new person on the scene, kinda. It's not like you've known him from ends and he's someone you grew up with. This is somebody fairly new who's kind of reinventing themselves into the person that we know now, especially if you listen or have watched the Trap Law Ross documentary. You can't take that as the whole representation of who Central Cee is, but it's fair to assume that, you know, some of the information in that Trap Law Ross documentary is somewhat true, and you can see, you know, he hasn't always looked like this. And guys that I've grown up with in ends, and some of you out there can probably attest and agree to this, the guys that I've grown up with in ends who were not black but grew up in the ends that I grew up with look the same way. Like if you I've got pictures of them still in tracksuits, not maybe tech fleeces because they didn't exist back then, but they still look the same way. They still dress the same way. They still spoke a certain way because of where they're from. It wasn't like a persona they developed later on in life, you know? Where Central Cee maybe has kind of led himself in that direction, but in the past he wasn't always looking like that. So it's always funny to me how Clint has kind of latched himself or become close to him and is sort of fighting Central Cee's battles or speaking up for him when, you know, he's met this new iteration of him. It's not like someone that he's met previously in the past. I don't know. I could be waffling, but that's just an observation.
Now, after that, yeah, he tweeted something else a couple of weeks ago or something, yeah. Now, in my head, this is like, you're just, and I'm not saying this slagging a man off, but I'm saying this just explaining myself, you must be a bit of an insecure little boy. because you've got an amazing clothing brand that makes millions of pounds a year probably. I can't drive down the road in London without seeing someone wearing it. You've just done a collab with Nike. You're probably rich, yeah? We've never met. What the fuck are you talking about me for? You get me? What? He tweeted something at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So you're laying in bed thinking about me.
Look at Posty, bro. Look how quiet he is. He's not even saying He's not even moving his lips. He's not making a sound. I've never heard this guy this quiet. It's fucking insane, man. How cliquey the industry is, isn't it? Like, Aitch is making some really great points here. Really basically dissecting and breaking down his beef with Central Cee and Corteiz well, explaining himself well, and being somewhat reasonable and fair and balanced and nuanced, inserting some insults and snarky stuff, but also just saying the truth. And Posty's not saying a word. His eyes are on the road. He's not even looking at fucking Aitch while he's talking. It's fucking hilarious.
Like, you've not got Nike in your emails doing a collab.
No smile.
You've got X amount of money in your bank account.
Nothing.
The Brit was 3 years ago. So what is it that's made you tweet about me? No. Have I done anything wrong to this person? No. When I did that diss track, did I slag him off? Yes. Rightly so. Yeah? Now, what, a month later, you sat in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning scratching your head thinking about me, you want to tweet about me? I think you must be fucking stupid if you can't see where my man's just a weirdo at that point. Do you get what I mean? Because like what you talk, I'm not even from.
Do you get what I mean? He doesn't say. There's a slight nod, not even a single word, not a single not a single cosine zero. Do you get what I mean? Silence.
Me, bro, I'm not even from here. I'm chilling. I'm just doing my own thing. I don't bother no one, and you've got this mad problem with me. Even people I've had genuine physical problems with, I see now, and we shake each other's hand. It's like, yes, my brother, what's going on? You good? So it's mad that, you know what I mean? Everyone's so successful. We can all, if we all got put in a room together now, we could all look at each other and go, well done, lads. Do you know what I mean? But no, but you're tweeting about a man at 2 o'clock in the morning. Do you get what I mean? And then people want to go on like, I'm overreacting, when I'm like, when I say something like, shut up, I'll punch your head in. Because I'm also not on some, I've never once said I'm a bad man, but I also never once said I'm down to have Twitter wars with anyone. Like, what are you talking about?
So, I agree with everything Aitch has said. I just have to say as a conclusion, sometimes there's no reason to hate somebody. Sometimes you could just hate somebody based on the cut of their jib. I'm sure there's a bunch of people that have seen some of my content, that have heard my voice, that have seen me on socials, and just instantly look at me and think, nah, fuck that guy. You're allowed to think that. You're allowed to have those agendas. You're allowed to have those thoughts and opinions. And he's right. There's probably nothing really at the core of his beef with Central Cee and Clint from Corteiz, apart from them just not liking him as a person. Maybe thinking his songs are lame. Maybe confusing him with fucking Ardy, whatever his fucking name is. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure there's no depth to it. It's just, hey, we don't like you. And that's okay. Because he's winning, they're doing their thing, and they can all go their separate ways. But I love how Aitch kind of broke it down and really made some good points about the perceived privileges that he has over Central Cee, which make no real sense, to be honest, right? When you think about Central Cee looking the way he does, like, part of his success, you would imagine, is the fact that he appeals to like a wide swath of people. And you'd imagine Aitch probably has the same sort of appeal too. But to say that one is more of a culture vulture, one is more privileged than the other is kind of insane. It's kind of fucking insane. But I guess when it comes to relevancy, when it comes to maybe cool factor, clout, cultural factor, for whatever reason, maybe because Central Cee surrounds himself with more black people or is more in the quote-unquote streets, he gets a bit more grace than what Aitch does. But I really did like how he explained it. I really liked how he cleared it up. And I think this is a good job of sort of making sure that people know what time it is. But I also think hating people just for the sake of hating them is also perfectly okay and fine. And sometimes this can be the funnest thing. To have a perceived enemy, someone in your head that you can kind of aim all of your ire towards, so that it can continue to help you drive, help you kind of push towards where you want to go. That's also a very strong motivating factor. So I completely understand why people would hate on somebody like an Aitch. Doesn't make sense, but I get why they do it. I get why they do it. Continuing on, let's talk about another post courtesy of Grime Daily, also featuring Posty, that features Julia Adenuga. Big up blood clot Julia Adenuga. I really like this discussion. I really like this conversation. I thought she was a really breath of fresh air. As you guys know, Julia Adenuga is Jamie and Skepta's sister, and she also works in the industry. And she basically mentions in this particular part of the interview clip why she decided to leave Apple Music. And essentially, she left Apple Music to make more space for others. She was very selfless in this particular scenario and decided that she had done all she needed to do at Apple, and she needed to make space for others to come into. And I have some opinions on what she had to say, but let's play the clip where Julia Adenuga speaks about leaving Apple Music.
When you decided to leave Apple Music, because you decided to leave, do you get what I'm saying? I'm seeing a woman that's in a well-paid job. It looks great. It feels like one of the highest points of entry that somebody that does what you do could be. And you decided to leave. Like, what was that about? Do you not like money?
Oh, by the way, the fit is insane, by the way. Julia Adenuga, I like you. You seem like a cool woman. But that fit is fucking insane. The denim suit and the fucking silk hijab shiesty thing is an insane fit. I'm not sure if it's a shiesty, if it's a hijab. Whatever's going on with that fit is fucking insane. The denim suit with the fucking suede shiesty? Nah. Lock her up, man. Lock her up.
That's a brilliant question.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I felt like I can't hold that one position forever, because I'm reaping so much benefit from this job. So much. Whether it's monetary benefit, whether it's health benefits, whether it's life experience benefit, whatever you want to call it. Career benefits. It's the greatest job I could have. I'm interviewing Pharrell, Britney Spears, Chance the Rapper. I'm earning great money. I bought my own house. I've got my own car, like everything. I travel the world. I've got crazy air miles. I'm flying first class all the time. It's so.
Could you imagine working a job that allows you to pay for your house in London? Could you imagine what type of salary would you have to receive to be able to buy a house in London, in the UK flat out? What type of job? What type of job could afford you? Because you have to think, in this fucking blood clot country, if you earn over like 100k, you get taxed like 50%. So what type of salary do you have to make to be able to afford a house? I thought the only way to afford a house is if you start your own business. If you do your own thing, you know, you hustle, you start your own business, you open your own store, restaurant, whatever, flip houses. But this woman was able to buy a house off of a salary from Apple. Whee! She was getting paid good.
So much stuff I'm doing. I can't have that forever, because there's other people that present. There's other people in the UK that love music. There's other people that host. There's other people that do interviews. Like, this should be a path that people travel through. You get what I'm saying? So, and also, I've done it now. What else can I do? The only thing I would have done there, Posty, if I stayed, was just waited to talk to Beyonce and Rihanna. That was it. That would be it. There was nothing else for me to do there. I love presenting radio. I've spoken to everybody. Pusha T, to Benji Flow, to Ray, to everyone. Kali Uchis, everybody. I've spoken to everyone. There's no one I haven't spoken to. And I've played you the music that I like. I can always play music that I like. Someone else needs to come through now. You know what I mean? Someone else needs to come and do this job, but there's nothing else for me to do. So I was just like, I can stay here and be comfy, or I can go and find something else to do that's going to be mad and exciting and new and fresh, and I might fail at it and, like, you know what I mean? I can be alive again. Whereas there, I'm like so comfortable. So I had to leave.
So I appreciate her for saying this and for deciding to step aside and make room for others. I'm not too sure if it's necessary, to be honest, but I do really respect her for doing it, because a lot of people wouldn't. A lot of people in most industries, like I remember when I was coming up in the streetwear scene, coming up in the sneaker scene, coming up in the fashion scene, whatever that may be, I remember one of the things that used to annoy me was the lack of opportunities that were actually available for people to come into. it seemed like there was a finite amount of jobs. Everybody was fighting over that 1-2 job that everybody wanted, and the rest of the jobs weren't even open because the people that had them were just unwilling to step aside or to retire or to move elsewhere. They were just going to hold on to that job until the end. And I understood why, because they had a lot of good benefits. You had an opportunity to make a lot of money. You had a great work-life balance. You had great colleagues, great career prospects and shit. I understood why. But it really was quite disconcerting to see, because you would get into the industry, especially music, especially fashion, especially streetwear, especially whatever, and you have all these aspirations, you have all this hope. And then once you get into it, you quickly realize that a lot of it is about who you know. But sometimes even who you know doesn't really help when the jobs aren't that plentiful. When there's only a finite amount of jobs that are available that would actually, you would want, the ones that are worth having, the ones that are worth chasing, the ones that are actually going to impact culture, and the ones that are actually going to help to propel you and to kind of contribute to your legacy, or to contribute to the survival or the upkeep or the continuation of whatever scene you're representing. It's really fucking sad to see. So in an ideal world, there would be more of these type of jobs so that Julia Adenuga wouldn't need to step aside. She'd step up, into a position of maybe leadership, that she can oversee some of the younger generation coming in. She wouldn't need to leave to open up space. But the fact that she did leave to open up space is really fucking great, and kind of goes to show just how much of a great person, human being, she must be at her core. Because a lot of people wouldn't have left. A lot of people would have rode that fucking Apple train until the fucking wheels fall off. They would have hung on to that job, would not and refuse to let it go. Like a good example being Fraser Cook at Nike. Big up Fraser Cook. Big fan of the guy. Met him once before. Worked with him briefly on something that I did with Virgil back in the day. But Fraser Cook has been at Nike for how long? How long has Fraser Cook had the role he's had at Nike? I feel like it's been maybe close to 2 decades. Is he close to retiring? Is he close to stepping aside? Is he close to making room for other young people to come into to get that job? Probably not. And the really sad thing about it is that nobody is going to have that job. Nobody's going to have the ability to do that job if he doesn't step aside. That's the really sad thing. Like, he needs to give people room to be able to work within there, because Nike ain't going to make more of the roles that Fraser Cook has to accommodate more people. But he's unwilling to do so because the job is good and he busted his ass, right? He worked really hard to get that job in the first place. He's been in the game for many fucking years. Why should he have to step aside? He shouldn't have to. But if you actually want the scene to continue, if you want there to be fresh new ideas, if you want people to push, to contribute to culture, you have to be able to step aside and let the new generation shine. So I don't really know what the right way to go about it is. I think the only solution would be for there to be more jobs on offer in the first place. But a part of me also likes that this new generation of kids don't seem to care about these jobs as much as my millennial generation cared. I don't think they do. I think a lot of these kids would much rather be the creators of their own version of Apple. They want to start their own Apple. They don't want to work for Apple. I think that's incredibly inspiring. And these kids are like that. These kids don't want to work for Apple. They want to make their own Apple. I think that's fucking sick. So with that, it doesn't put that much pressure on them to try and get these jobs. They are focusing way more on building their own thing and then using their own thing to platform and to put on their friends and sort of blow up that way, which is pretty cool because, all of these companies that we all kind of adore and we all kind of fiend and idolize, for lack of a better term, they were all started by people like you and I too. So it makes sense that you would just, instead of trying to beg a certain job, you would create your own job and hope that in time you could then be able to, create to the level of Nike, even surpass them, and in the process put on your friends. So I love the message that she shared there. I think it's incredibly inspiring, incredibly positive, and really goes to accurately reflect just how much of a great person she must be IRL, that she did such a selfless thing that a lot of people probably weren't aware of, and that she explained many, months after the fact of leaving Apple. But that's going to probably benefit a bunch of people who probably, aren't that familiar that she had the job before them either. So big up fucking Julia Adenuga. You love to fucking see it. You love to fucking see it. Let's talk about Shannon Sharpe, man. Going by the title of this particular podcast, I'm sure some of you guys know Wagwan. Shannon Sharpe is in a big trouble. So Shannon Sharpe got sued for $50 million over an alleged R-word by this young lady. And a lot of people like myself didn't believe it at first. Instant reaction, especially considering somebody high profile, is not to immediately run to believe all women shit. It's mostly to cast, to cast aspersions on it, be a little bit suspicious of the allegations, and just wait until you hear more facts and details. Because sometimes, with these sort of allegations, they can be tied towards nefarious issues, people trying to get a come up, whatever it may be. So just being quick to just believe everything you see online is a fool's errand. But then once more information came out, it started to really paint the picture that maybe Shannon Sharpe was guilty of the things he'd been accused of. Because this recent headline that came out that said that he had offered at least $10 million to settle the case with this lady before the case went public, to me, isn't a sign of somebody that is innocent of the crimes they've been accused of. I don't think an innocent person would willingly offer that amount of money to settle the case outside of court before it hits the press, because as a man, as an entertainment figure, as a person on the internet, how damaging R-word allegations can be to your brand, to any potential deals, to whatever else you have going on. So that it all really relies, your whole entire career hinders on your ability to prove without a shadow of a doubt that you didn't do what this person's accused you of. And you would exhaust every option, every resource you have under the sun to clear your name. The fact that Shannon Sharpe allegedly was willing to offer this woman $10 million to settle makes you believe that he might be guilty of the R-word this woman said she might have done to him, or he might have done to her. And then to make matters worse, we've got this particular update, courtesy of TMZ. Shannon Sharpe accuser confronted him with over alleged R-word, no means no. So he's denying it vehemently. Shannon Sharpe is denying vehemently that any type of R-word happened. Everything was consensual. Everything was in part due to role play. But this lady decided to share evidence, text messages. There's also videos. There's recordings of the phone, which to me sounds crazy, because Shannon Sharpe and his team have been quite forthright, have been on the front foot in terms of really being open about what he may or may not have done. But they're going out of their way to make sure that people know that it was all consensual. They're essentially calling her out and saying that she's a whore in certain terms. But regardless of what she does as a profession, regardless if she's an OnlyFans person or not, if she's a fucking lady of the night or not, a streetwalker or not, if somebody doesn't consent to a sexual act, that is the textbook definition of the R-word. Textbook definition of it. So in this particular case, when it comes to these text messages, I feel like this makes Shannon Sharpe sound way guiltier than the $10 million he was willing to pay this woman to settle before this whole thing came to public. This makes him sound incredibly guilty. The first screenshot or bubble here from the iMessage shows the girl messaging Shannon Sharpe. Her name is Gabby. It says as follows: "But I cried when you left because I begged you to put on a condom and you put it in my ass and you didn't listen. I don't care what our history is, no means no." So this woman is saying via text that, hey, when you left that evening after spending the night together, I cried myself to sleep because I told you, number one, to put on a condom, and number two, you can't put it in my ass. You did it anyway, which is not consent. That is textbook definition of the R-word. So in my opinion, this is hard to get away from. This is hard to clear up. This is hard to excuse. It's almost impossible to excuse. Another screenshot. I don't know how to process this. That's her texting Shannon Sharpe. And then you got a text from Shannon Sharpe that says, "Can I call you later?" Which is usually code for a guilty person, especially a guy, knowing full well he's done dirt by his, or he's done wrong by his lady, or done wrong by the lady in question, trying to save face. This to me is the most damaging part of it. And the really sad thing about this situation is that I reckon this whole thing was very much avoidable. This whole situation was very avoidable if Shannon Sharpe had any type of impulse control. And it's also making me wonder whether it's possible for a guy in his mid-50s to have impulse control if you're as famous as Shannon Sharpe, you're as rich as Shannon Sharpe, well known as Shannon Sharpe, and you're getting all of this PUSSY being thrown at you. Is it nigh on impossible to maintain your composure and not give in to temptation, or choose better, choose wisely the people that you decide to engage in adult fun with? Because a part of me also thinks maybe this girl isn't a signifier or isn't an example as to why Shannon Sharpe shouldn't be messing with 20-year-olds. Maybe there are a bunch of 20-year-olds who know exactly what they're doing, know exactly what game they're in, and do business accordingly. They move a certain way. They're not sloppy. They don't pillow talk. They don't yap, they don't social, all this malarkey. Maybe there is a version of that type of girl who does that sort of shit, who isn't as quick to share things online, isn't as quick to try and catch you in a lie, to get to sue, You know what I mean? Maybe that's the point. Maybe Shannon just didn't choose correctly. But I personally think he's mostly paying the price for being loose. I think Shannon Sharpe was doing versions of the things that he's been accused of for a long time. He probably got away with it because he was well liked, and maybe the women in his life at that time gave him grace. But there comes a point where sometimes the shit catches up with you, and this is a good example of it. It caught up with him. He had probably no excuse for it, and now he's paying the ultimate price. And you know, if you think about it, ultimately he's likely going to lose his entire career that he's worked so diligently, so hard for over the years, for a flipping girl that wears, you know, the thing that she wears and looks like fucking Pokemon. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But I've also been in a position where sometimes you have everything lining up for you, you're doing really well in life, and then for whatever reason that you even can't explain, you just start self-sabotaging. I've been there myself, where you have no reason to do so, but you just immediately start self-sabotaging. So I wonder if that's maybe part of the reason why he's ended up the way he's ended up. You know what I mean? Pure self-sabotage. He's like, look, it is what it is. I can't help who I'm helping, but I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And then he's now paying the ultimate price for it, and he's going down the craziest way. But yeah, nothing more to be said about that. Shannon Sharpe is probably donezo when it comes to his long-term ambitions. I know there was a report that he was meant to sign some sort of $100 million deal with fucking Nestle and whatever else it may be, which is allegedly is on pause now and will most likely get cancelled throughout the week. You know that's going to happen. But yeah, I just find the whole situation very, very strange. And I hope they can figure it out sometime soon. Probably won't. Shannon Sharpe will probably have to pay this woman a bunch of money to make this go away. It is what it is. It is what it is. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about Supreme 2. Big up Rokkstar Supreme. Update courtesy of Supreme. This is Supreme collaboration with 40 Acres. With a career spanning directing, producing, and screenwriting and acting, Spike Lee is one of the most celebrated prolific filmmakers working today. Born in Atlanta in 1957 and raised in Brooklyn, Lee made his directorial debut in 1986 with She's Gotta Have It. Shot largely in black and white over the course of 2 weeks in Brooklyn, the film launched as a vital, provocative voice on contemporary cinema. In the 4 decades since, he has done and written 30 Flies, including during 1989 masterpiece Do the Right Thing, School Days, Mo Better Blues, Jungle Fever, Malcolm X, Crooklyn, In 1979, Lee and fellow filmmaker Monty Ross established a production company called 40 Acres and a Mule. 40 Acres and a Mule has produced all of Lee's and sorry, what's that? Let me read that one more time there. 40 Acres and Mule. 40 Acres has produced all of Lee's documentary and film features, as well as commercials and music videos. 40 Acres includes a record label and apparel collection. During the summer of 1990, Lee opened Spike Lee's joint 4 and Green in Brooklyn, followed by Spike Lee's West and Melrose, and a kiosk in the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Palace in Los Angeles. Supreme has worked with Spike Lee on a 40 Acres and Collaborations collection, featuring Malcolm X and the Clockers. So the collection itself is fucking impressive. Very, very impressive. Really cool. The immediate thing that comes to mind is like, it's a shame that Tremaine Emery from Denim Tears isn't there to enjoy this, right? It seems like Tremaine was fighting so hard for Supreme to be more black, for Supreme to represent more African American culture, and then it feels like the moment Tremaine left, they're starting to really amp it, from the Max BT to the working directly with fucking Spike Lee. It feels like Supreme are doing all the things that they should have done to reassure Tremaine that they were going in the right direction, that they really wanted him to be there while he was there, instead of doing it after he left. But either way, the collection is really fucking fire. There's the Malcolm X varsity jacket that's absolutely incredible. Loads of stuff is referencing old archive pieces made by 40 Acres and a Mule back in the day. The baseball shirt also has a baseball number on the back, number 40. There's a polo. There's a tee. The back of it also has a really great graphic. I'm not mad at it as well. That's a pretty good tee actually. Clockers. A Spike Lee joint album. Yeah, I really like that one too. Yeah, that varsity is just horrendously good, man. So fucking good. So good. What is that varsity called again, by the way? What's the name? Nothing's got a name in it. It's so fucking nice. The badges on the corner, so on the sleeves, the badge on the front of the chest, the embroidered logo. If anything, I would have probably wanted a embroidered logo down here. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe a patch somewhere on the sleeve, there or there. That's what I personally wanted. But you know, maybe it doesn't work that way. Bloody blood. And then there's also a 40 Acres logo here on the left chest pocket, which is also really nice. The Malcolm X on the back is also really cool. It's all been stitched as well, so no fraying, no split ends. Alright guys, cool. What else we got here? Malcolm X. Oh no, you got the zoom on the back again. The baseball jersey, which comes in white and red, and also black, fully blacked out too. You got, this is one of my favorite tees. You got the Jonestown tee. Okay, what else is it? The t-shirt is also pretty decent. I'm not mad at the t-shirt. And there's hats too. The Clockers hat is pretty fucking special, especially the white and black combination. I think that Clockers hat is gonna be absolutely crazy messy. But big up everybody that copped so far. We love to see it. 4 Acres and a Mule, courtesy of Spike Lee, dropping this weekend. So keep an eye out for it. Make sure you keep an eye out for it. Talking about keeping an eye out on things, big up Oneman. Big up Blood Clot Oneman. Oneman launches a new South London club called Honor. Courtesy of RA, 140 capacity space, is in a railway arch adjacent to the open air venue Peckham Riviera. A new club has opened in South London, located on a railway arch adjacent to the open air venue Peckham Riviera. Honor, a 140 capacity venue that has been kitted out with TW audio PA Psi 1 sound system. The brains behind Honor is one man who told Resident Advisor that the aim is to create a space that is low key and all about the atmosphere. Big up Blood Clot One Man. The idea of Honor was initially born out of a want to honor DJs and scenes that I appreciate. Not only that, but to also the unsung heroes of Clubland and the sound and the light technicians, the bar and the door staff and the promoters. That's what I built the idea of One Man. Oh, sorry, that's what built the idea of Honor, not One Man. Thinking about the whole aspect of what Clubland and nightlife is all about, and everyone who encapsulates it, sound, light, and atmosphere. I fucking love this. I love the fact that One Man is putting his money where his mouth is. I'm sure he spent a bunch of afters, a bunch of times at green rooms, a bunch of times in record stores, dog walks, hanging out with friends, bemoaning the state of the industry like we all have, like I do all the time. Always talking about the industry, how bad it is, how much needs to be done, blah, 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 blah. But we all do jack shit. We do absolutely nothing, right? We do absolutely nothing. So it's good for a change that somebody like One Man's decided, instead of yapping, instead of complaining, instead of talking, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm actually going to try to change things, try to move things forward, try to add to things, try to inspire people, try to platform people, all this good stuff. I fucking love it. I fucking love it. Also, I love the fact that it's Oneman, because Oneman's another person who I know. A lot of my close friends, guys who I grew up with, are very good friends with Oneman. And I've never actually, I don't know, I think I've met him before, but we never had a real good conversation or anything. I don't think he knows me, but I know of him through other friends. And although he's a well-recognized DJ legend over here in London, a lot of people, without a doubt, across the board, have only great things to say about Oneman. He might be one of the only DJs that I've heard of in the scene who people absolutely adore. People love Oneman. Like, he legitimately is a proper cool person. And if you know anything about Oneman and the crews that he rolls with and the people he's friends with, he might have people he's associated with that you might not like off the bat, who are a little bit hard to get along with. But Oneman himself is meant to be an absolute gem of a person. So it's great to see somebody that's really easy to root for, somebody a lot of people have a lot of time for, someone that's generally a nice person, also opening up a club. Because guess what you're going to do? You're going to root for them. You're going to want them to succeed. You're going to go to this club on purpose because it's Oneman's club with the hope of promoting and helping it become successful because you're like the person that's behind it. That's a good thing about being a good person. So big up Oneman. The article continues. The opening party with Benton, Coolie G. Wow, Coolie G. I haven't seen her in a while, bro. Big up Bloodcut Coolie G. I haven't heard about that lady in a while. Big up Coolie G. Absolute legend in the scene. Plastician as well. And others took place last weekend. Honor will also host a second event featuring sets from Shani, Zed Bias, and Felix back-to-back with Ricochet tomorrow and Friday 11th. All sets are recorded and shared on the YouTube channel. I love that, by the way. I love that he's embracing social media and YouTube. There's a lot to be said for clubs that have no photo policies. I'm starting to soften on that, by the way. I think it's important for clubs to have no photo policies, but dependent on the promoter. But I think, by and large, if it was me and I want to get to a place, because one of my dreams is similar to what Oneman's doing here, is to one day open up my own club and have a club that would compete with the likes of Folds and the Color Factories and shit, and be an establishment that people could kind of come to and enjoy. I want to open it when I get to a place financially where I can afford to open a club and it not be worried about not making money. Similar to what Rogan does with the Mothership. Allegedly, Joe Rogan's comedy club, the Mothership in Austin, Texas, he allegedly pays people really well. He stocked up or kitted out the entire club with the best of everything: seats, acoustic, lighting, all this malarkey, great staff. But essentially, it's a passion project that he can afford to lose money on or break even on because he's got so much money anyway. And it also allows him an opportunity to kind of, put on his friends, perform as much as he wants, blah, 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 which is something that I'd want to do in my club. So it doesn't have any financial burden on it. So because if you have financial burden, that means you have to book certain people that you don't really rate for the sake of putting money in the till, which I wouldn't want to do. And also, I think it probably helps in scale because this is only a 140 cap place. I know 140 cap is still 140, but 140 people, you can probably run that with your eyes closed if you're Oneman. He's already established in the scene. He has a great network of people. He's a proper DJ. He knows loads of people. He can definitely keep that stock, keep that going for eternity, you would imagine. Let's continue the article. It says, I like to describe Honor as being in the end of a lit cigarette. It's dark, orange, and smoky. I'm very lucky to be given the opportunity to create a space where DJs can live in culture I love, can thrive in the heart of London's most vibrant community. Here are the photos. So here's the photos of the club itself. You got people taking pictures in there, enjoying themselves. Oh, like I said about the no photo policies. I like that he's embracing the no photo policy thing. No, I love that he's not embracing it and offering something different. The sets are recorded and put on YouTube. You can take pictures and shit. Because I think it's important to have places where you cannot take pictures and it be a place where you can immerse yourself in. But it's also important to have places that are, that kind of work with the way people use social media nowadays. And don't try and stop people from doing the things that they do naturally. Because I think in a weird way, if you're promoting a club and you're just starting, you probably can't afford to do no photo policies anyway. You probably have to start off by letting people take pictures. And then maybe based on the promoters, decide who can and who can't. Based on that and go from there, sort of. I kind of like this. So more pictures of the club itself. Arches over there somewhere in South. From my experience as well, from raving and going to clubs, when they're hosted in places that are on the rail arches or railway arches or arches in general, usually they mean they're in industrial places. They're in industrial areas. So this might be an industrial area of South somewhere, which also means it's away from residents. So that might mean you'll be able to crank the music up, crank the volume up. So this might be a good place to go to because they might be able to play the volume super, super high because they're nowhere near residents. Here's another picture showing what the DJ booth looks like. I don't like that it's on a platform. It's giving drama. It's giving A-level drama. I'm not liking the DJ booth at all. I don't like how it's on a platform, but I'm sure there's a reason behind it. But I do like the fact that it's one big, massive space under an arch, some lights, a DJ booth, and nothing crazy apart from that. Let me actually see their social media. I want to see if they've uploaded any videos regarding the club opening. But it does look pretty sick. I'm not going to lie. It does look pretty sick. 140 capacity, nice and small, nice and intimate. A bunch of people in there. Do they have a YouTube channel? He said he already has a YouTube, right? They upload the sets on. I can't see anything on here just yet. There's a post here. He posted the RA article itself. But yeah, nothing so far. Let's see if there's any tagged videos on here. Any tagged videos of the club itself opened? I can't see anything. No. Okay, no, here we go. We've got a tagged video. Let's see what the inside of it looks like. I'm curious to see what it looks like on the inside. Big up Honor.
Big up Honor, you already know what time it is.
Hey, look at this.
Praying for my sins. Out of town for months, I'm getting it in. 5%, that's everywhere I go. Yeah, I've been selling pussy.
Oh, that looks pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. I want to check it out. What other events do they have coming up on here? Let's go back to the RA article. Let's see the listings. They have on the night here on the 19th. That's already passed, actually. Let's actually check the listing here, courtesy of RA, to see who else is going to be playing here. No up-and-coming events so far. On the Instagram, do they have more up-and-coming events on here that I missed out on, that I didn't check out prior? But yeah, I love this, man. Big up fucking Oneman. This is fucking sick. I love to fucking see it. Hopefully it becomes a big success. Hopefully people support it. I think they will, because people fucking love Oneman. Like I said previously, a lot of my friends know him and only have fucking good words to say about the guy. So I'm hoping he's incredibly successful with this and it kind of builds on. And I hope that there's more DJs that decide to kind of pull their finger out and decide to do a similar sort of thing. It's all well and good to talk about these sort of things, complain about the scene, how it's not this, how it's not that. But putting your money where your mouth is and actually trying to change things is actually the way to go about doing things. And considering the amount that DJs get paid, I think a lot of them could probably afford to open up clubs and change the, you know, the scene and the environment in the community a little bit more. But they don't, because, you know, they can't be bothered, or because running a club is really hard, which I understand also. But I love to see that Oneman is actually trying to change things. So big up Oneman. Absolutely incredible news. Absolutely incredible news. Big up, big up, big up, big up Blood Clot Oneman. I wish I would go to South London more often so I could see it, because I'm not really in South as often. But I would love to need to venture out, especially with my bike. And I got the overground, which I could easily get to like New Cross. And then from New Cross, you can easily cycle to fucking Peckham quite easily. But I really want to go check it. Big up Koila. Yeah, the type of club you can bring your cousin in. Your cousin in judgment. I'm not sure if Koila is referring to the Kanye track or if you're just talking in general, but big up Koila. That's fucking hilarious, by the way. Big up fucking Koila. Moving on, more news courtesy of RA regarding Berlin club M01 reveals a new in-house party. This is somewhere I additionally need to go check out as well. I think I've spoken about them opening up when they first opened on the pod a couple of years ago, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But this is courtesy of RA. It says Berlin club M01 has announced a new in-house party series taking place on April the 11th. The first edition of M01 Club Night or Club Night will bring together artists from two party crews called Club Availability and Hubba Bubba Dubba, featuring Big Leg, Hassan, Mark Gill, Tanya Just, and Nana make up the lineup. The aim of the series is to create a cheaper and more community-focused alternative to Berlin clubbers. Opening in 2023, M01 is a 400 capacity space run by the team behind Renate and Else. Okay, which is, I didn't know that, by the way. I didn't know the people that run do it also behind Else. Else is meant to be opening this weekend, actually. When I'm out in Berlin, Else, the outdoor venue, the sick outdoor club, is opening, actually. The opening party is happening this weekend, so I'm really looking forward to actually experiencing that. But this is M01 out there in Berlin. I'm not too sure what it looks like on the inside. I don't think you're allowed pictures on there either. but it's another place that you can actually check out. Let's see if there's actually any tagged images so you can see what it might look like on the inside. Nothing so far. They're keeping that close to their chest when it comes to what it looks like. Let's see that picture there with this lady that was skating. Nope, zero. No, nothing. No. Oh, there we go. We got a little image of somebody playing inside M01. Let's see what this looks like. By the way, that's the standard thing in Berlin, isn't it? Like DJs love DJing with a cigarette with a joint in their mouth, innit? I think part of DJing in Berlin is that you have to start smoking. There's no way you can DJ in Berlin. Number one, you have to take your shirt off and you have to have a cigarette in your mouth or a joint. That's like part of the identity of being a Berlin-based DJ. Okay, we don't really see much of the club itself. Let's see this other angle from this guy. Big up. Is it called Big Up Nyros? Is it Nereus Ife? Nereus Ife. Okay, cool. Yeah, no images of what the club actually looks like on the inside. But it does look pretty interesting regardless. I'm curious to maybe check out myself when I do eventually get to Berlin this weekend. But there's no images off the bat that I can actually check to see Wagwan. Let's see this lady here. Yep, nothing still. No idea. It's like I guess it's going to be a surprise, which is one of the good things about going to clubs in Berlin. You get a nice bit of a surprise when you're out there because you get to see what the space looks like with no fucking prior information. But it would be nice to go and see what it did look like. But regardless, they're launching a new series. What other nights they have out there whilst I'll be there. They've got a night on the... Okay, so they're not open on the weekend I'm there. Weird, isn't it? They closed that entire... I wonder if they closed because of... Whatchamacallit? Because of after Easter. They're actually closed on the weekend I'm out there, which is a bit concerning. A little bit troubling. A little bit sad. Yeah, they reopen on the 30th, but they're not open on the day that I'm going to be there. So unfortunately, I won't get to see what it looks like on the inside. But regardless, big up, blood clot. M01. Continuing on. Big up Laurent Garnier. Big up the legendary DJ and producer Laurent Garnier. He said the following: I'm going to stop very soon. So this is courtesy of RA. Laurent Garnier said that he will stop touring very soon. I love how DJs say that, by the way. They never quit and retire entirely. It's always stopping touring, which basically means I want more home gigs because I'm too old to be traveling all the time, which makes sense too. But it's like, if you're going to stop completely. This stopping like a little bit is just a bit weird. But anyway, continuing. In an interview with France Inter Radio yesterday, April 10th, the legendary DJ spoke of plans to step back from gigging in the near future. I'm going to stop touring like I always have, he said. I still will do a few dates, but the idea is to do 10 in a year and in small spaces, or in small places, where I still have my place and still things to say. But finding myself in front of big crowds, no. I haven't done big festivals since this year. Garnier questioned whether it's relevant to still be behind the decks at 60 when nightlife is dominated by young people. I've always told people I work with what they really need to warn. They really need to warn me the day I cross over the other side of the mountain, where I become a kind of a dusty jukebox. So this is really admirable. I'm not gonna lie, because I've often wondered why more DJs don't retire. I get why they don't, because the money's good, the job is one of the best in the world, the lifestyle's great. But in general, when it comes to age, there's no denying that no matter how much privilege you have, no matter the job you have, no matter the funds you make, there does come a point in time when the rave gets boring, where it comes a little bit tired, it comes a little bit samey, predictable, and you just want some different type of energy when it comes to the way you present your art and stuff. So maybe it means that you decide to become more of a live act, more of an artist. Maybe you take more of a step back and behind the scenes and start start up an agency, open a club, or whatever it may be. But the idea of constantly putting yourself in the middle of a rave until the day that you die fills me with dread, and is also somewhat depressing. So I do like that Laurent Garnier is questioning the utility and the purpose of being a DJ in his 60s, still out there touring and being in clubs and shit. Is it very necessary? I don't think it is. I think it's far better for somebody like him to decide of his own volition to be like, hey, I'm hanging up my DJ headphones, I'm bowing out gracefully, as opposed to suddenly realizing that you're not getting callbacks, you're not getting booked at certain clubs, and then seeing those same clubs that used to book you booking really up and coming young DJs who are like doing the fucking techno dance and are wearing big chunky boots. That's going to make you really depressed. So you're better off leaving before you get told to leave. But DJs don't do that. People don't do that in general. We've spoken earlier about Julia Adenuga, who decided to leave her very high paying, very well respected, very beneficial, very just, desirable job in Apple, because she thought that other people needed a chance to step into that role, especially younger people, which I think is super admirable. But you don't see a lot of people doing that, whether it's DJs or it's people in the industry. You don't really see people deciding that, you know what, I'm going to do the graceful thing, I'm going to do the honorable thing, and I'm going to bow out before I'm made to bow out to give other people room. I think that's incredible to see, and I wish more people would do that. I really wish more people would do that. So big up Laurent Garnier for having that foresight. Maybe it's easier when you're his age, you're approaching 60, so it's a bit easier to retire. Maybe it's harder to retire if you're in your 40s. But although it's not like a young man's game, a young woman's game, young person's game, I think it's important to make sure there's space available for those coming up to carve their own path, to write their own story, and to, more importantly, play for the people that are kind of big fans of them. Nothing worse than going to a night out and seeing the same old farts playing behind the booth, but the dance floor is dominated or majority by a lot of young people. That can be a weird imbalance. So it's good to see Laurent Garnier deciding, hey, I want to address this balance. I'm going to pull away. I'm going to step back, and I'm going to make some room for some kids who are coming up. I love to see it. I freaking love to see it. Anyways, my friends, that's why I'm going to love you and leave you. That has been the Agostino Zinger Show, episode number 899, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to have your company as per usual. If it's your first time tuning into the show, make sure that you smash the like button down below if you're watching it live. If you're watching via the podcast app, leave me a 5-star review on platforms like Spotify and Apple. You can do that. That'd be great. I appreciate people can find out and see what I'm doing and what I'm on about. Links to my socials and my Instagram are also in the description down below if you want to check that out as well as my SoundCloud and Patreon and all that malarkey. For those of you listening to the podcast app, you'll hear my tune of the day. This is courtesy of Ken Carson and his new album that just dropped. The track that I'm playing from his new album, More Chaos, is going to be called Blakk Rokkstar, which is track number 7 on the album. Check it out. Ken Carson dropped an album full of hits, mostly, I think 20 tracks, 0 features. The only feature he's got is one of the last tracks featuring his fellow label mates, Playboy Carti and Destroy Lonely. But that will be my song of the day, Blakk Rokkstar, courtesy of Ken Carson, playing underneath my voice right now. For the rest of everybody else tuning in via YouTube, peace out. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Peace.